check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. See if anybody can hear me in the chat. Go ahead and drop the URL. Hey, Shaw Willie, thank you for the confirmation. Greetings to you. Good evening to you. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 302, Black Car Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in. Share the video if possible. Hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, even those posted on the community page. And if you want to get on the panel, the link is in the chat. When you click on the link and join the panel, you have to raise your hand so we can acknowledge you, so we can promote you to the panel, or else we won't see you. So I think we just got finished having a Black Crypto Talk with Lionel. So if you have not had the opportunity to see the Black Crypto Talk from tonight, when you get an opportunity, please go view his live stream, because Lionel is adept in cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So you should pay attention to that. Rainy Woman, good evening to you as well. Let me make sure my volume is up. Hopefully soon, when I move to a Windows-based system, I'll be able to have more flexibility and quicker launch times with these Hangouts, because these live streams. Because as I said before in the past, I have about 3, 4, 5 devices that I'm trying to work at the same time. I have a smart TV where I'm verifying the live stream, and then I have my smartphone that I'm connected to, and then I have my Chromebook that I'm using to host the live stream, and then I have another computer that I have to use to actually launch the live stream from Zoom, because Zoom live streaming is not compatible with Chrome OS yet. So, and then I have a smartwatch that I use for timing and messaging that comes in. So I have a lot of gadgets that I have to manage all at once, in order to get these live streams up and going in the way that I do, because I have not centralized everything as of yet. So with that being said, let's get to the discussion, because Porsche came out with the Taycan yesterday, and one of the things that they was discussed was that the lap time around the Nürburgring for the Taycan is something like 7 minutes and 42 seconds, if I remember correctly, or 7 minutes and 40 seconds. It's something around that mark, which is significantly fast for an electric car. Um, the Tesla, on the other hand, did not fare so well because it could not complete a lap in its full EV mode without going into limp mode because the battery and the motors wasn't capable of handling a full lap around the ring. So this is a big problem for Tesla because now, what do they really need? You know, who really needs a Tesla if they can get a Taycan for the same price and have better performance? So the question is Tesla obsolete now because of the recent revelations of Porsche and their Taycan? Um, let me bring up some of the articles because I think that is relevant to show these articles. All right, let me. All right, let me share my screen because I think I got it up now. Oh, Paul Bryant, my brother, what's going on? Guten Tag. All right, this one is from Autoblog.com. Porsche Taycan versus Tesla Model S. How they compare on paper.
Yeah.
I think Paul might be having some microphone issues. So
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, brother. What's going on?
Guten Abend.
Guten Tag to you. Yeah. Let me get to this article, and then you and I can chop up game on this. The Porsche Taycan is here, and it's ready to upset the Apple cart. Tesla has owned the performance side of the electric car segment for a long time now. Much of that can be attributed to there not being any competition. But with the Taycan's reveal, things are changing quickly. Up until this point, nobody had an electric car that can go head to head with the Model S. We had to compare it with gasoline-powered cars or electric crossovers. Now we can all feast our eyes on the first comparison chart that pits the best of the Taycan up against the best of the Model S. We chose to use the Taycan Turbo S and Model S performance models for the comparison, just so we can see what peak performance looks like for both cars. Both have slightly less powerful variants, turbo and long range respectively, and we'll consider those models briefly in our text below the chart. So 2020 Porsche Taycan Turbo S and Tesla Model S Performance. Both have dual motors, both are all-wheel drive. Power output is 750 horsepower for the Taycan, and the Tesla Model S is 762 estimated. Torque is around 774 foot-pounds for the Taycan and 723 foot-pounds estimated for the Model S. Estimated range is 256 miles and for the Taycan and 345 miles for the Model S. The curb weight is 5,121 pounds for the Taycan and 4,883 pounds for the Model S. 0 to 60 acceleration numbers looks for the Taycan is 2.6 seconds and the Tesla Model S is 2.4. battery size is 93 kilowatts an hour for the Taycan and 100 kilowatts an hour for the Model S. So I don't think the rest of this is really relevant, but so Paul Bryant, uh, you pray at the German um, altar of engineering for Germany. What's your take on numbers so far and some of the speculation you have heard?
Yeah, so there was an article that I forgot to send you. I'll try to send it to you during the stream. So it was at Porsche's official unveiling for the uh, Taycan and the Taycan Turbo and the Taycan Turbo S.
Hmm.
So the Taycan Turbo S has 700 horsepower. It has 760 when you're using the launch control mode. So the Taycan Turbo S only has a range of 230 miles. So the 700 horsepower dramatically reduces the effective usable range. So I'll say this: there was an amazing article that Young Grizzly sent about how Germany is way behind on bringing forth full electric vehicles.
Hmm.
So um, Germany has been a victim of its own success. The internal combustion engine and the automobile and the diesel engine were all invented in Germany. They build the best cars in the world. They're the best engineers in the world. But they've gotten so comfortable and they've rested on their laurels. They really don't have any answers for electric vehicles. Now, this Taycan is amazing for the performance. So I can see why Porsche built it. But with the engineering know-how, there is no reason why Audi and Mercedes and BMW haven't built electric vehicles that can meet the range of what Tesla and others can. So if we're looking specifically at the Taycan, the numbers are amazing. Apparently, the car handles amazing, but it's kind of a case of, and it sounds crazy to even say this, especially coming from Germany, but is it a case of too little, too late? Time will tell, but it's amazing engineering. But the Germans as a whole, they really have to, they really got to pick up the ball because so far they really dropped it. But in terms of this Taycan itself, it is an amazing piece of engineering.
Yeah, definitely. We have to also keep in mind that a lot of the Tesla parts actually are designed and made in Germany. So the Tesla is part German, part American. It is biracial in its manufacturing and development process. So um, it does have a lot of roots all over the place.
Mhm.
Um, let me read this paragraph. From a number standpoint, the Taycan Model S and Model S performance are close. Since Tesla doesn't post final combined power and torque figures, we had to estimate. Still, the estimates beat the Taycan Turbo S, but only just. Porsche says that the figures we're looking at here is the power it makes in overboost mode on the Turbo S. The Taycan Turbo and Turbo S both make 616 horsepower when you're not using the overboost function. We imagine Tesla's figures are also from some sort of overboost function. As the spec sheet says, it's the maximum net power and maximum torque. However, no other power specs are listed for the Model S performance than those given here. What really matters is how fast it goes. The 0 to 60 time on the Tesla is zero point 0.2 seconds quicker than the time quoted for the Turbo S. Both use dual motors, one front, one in the back. to put the power down. Given both vehicles all-wheel drive, it's difficult to give one the nod over the other from a straight line speed perspective. But Porsche has stressed repeatability in its acceleration numbers. If the car is able to maintain these acceleration figures, like Porsche says it can, then the edge would swing way into Porsche's favor. This longevity claim is something we'll examine upon getting in the Taycan's driver's seat. Porsche also has a bunch of great performance add-ons like rear wheel steering, PCCB, ceramic composite brakes, electronic slip differential, and trick two-speed transmission for the rear axle. God, that thing looks beautiful. Um, what do you think about the looks, Paul?
I like it. I like it. I think it's a really nice version. It's really nice. I actually like this opposed to the Panamera. I like the Panamera. I think the Panamera is a sexy beast, but I think this is even more of a blending of the 911 and the Panamera. I really like the styling. I really like the lights. I don't understand why they call it Turbo and Turbo S. I mean, it's a full electric, but I mean that's a nitpick. But I really like the styling. I'm not crazy about the wheels, but I really like the styling.
So they call it a turbo because it has boost.
Right.
Boost
Okay.
is usually associated with turbo superchargers, right? So they could have called it a supercharger, but I guess for all intents and purposes, the boost function is more attributed to a turbo than not, right? So I mean, you call it a turbo. The traditionalist would say, well, where's the blow off valve, right? Where's the exhaust note? But I like what they did with the port for the charging port, where you
Yeah.
slide your finger. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Yeah, that
cool.
yeah, that's really badass. That is really badass. I haven't seen anybody else do that. I know Mercedes has they released their electric vehicles today too, but I don't think it does the same exact thing. I could be wrong though.
Mhm.
Two trunks, very good looking. I would like to see a sportback, if that makes any sense. Like the
A fastback.
Pan- well, this would be a fastback, but the Panamera Turismo, is that what they call it?
Oh yeah, the panel. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I
a
got
shoot and
you
brake.
now. Right. I got you. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Porsche to bring out a full electric 911. I can hear the purists at the Porsche Car Club of America dying now, but you know what? I don't know. I don't know if you. I don't know if you watched that DW documentary that Young really sent us out through the email chain. But
Hmm.
when when you hear German engineers, some of whom were very high up the food chain, at three of the German automakers say that the internal combustion engine is dead. The market has already moved away. It's like the industry has already moved away from an internal combustion engine. The market is still trying to catch up. So when you hear them say that, and then you hear people like, where's Thai City right now? Oh, I don't like electric, so I'm not feeling that. Well, bro, understand something. The internal combustion engine is dead, you know, and automotive technology has not advanced at the same rate as every other area of human tech. So automotive tech is only catching up with everything else. Electric vehicles, they are the future. It's not even a case of will be the future, they are the future.
Right. Yeah. I think the purists, I mean, as I said a few seconds ago, that, they're always going to look for the agricultural aspect of a car, right? So all the
Mm.
mechanical whirlings and things like that. But even with all of the 1600 horsepower that they throw inside the Camaro or the Mustang, all the V8s and Coyote V8s and LT1s or LS1s and LS7 swaps and all that stuff, it's nothing like this. I don't know if you've ever been in an electric car, but it's on a your mentality has to change in order to drive it.
Dude, in that video for the Taycan Turbo S, 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. I cannot wrap my head around that. I can't.
And that's what regular tires. Those are not
Right.
those are not Trofeos. Those are not race flicks. Hoosiers.
I can't wrap my head around those numbers, bro. That's insane. You know what? The thing is this, right? So what does that mean for the future of divisions like AMG and BMW M and Audi S line? I mean, are they going to be relegated to racing only? Well, look, we already have the Le Mans hypercar division. Formula One is already running hybrids, and we have Formula E. I mean, bro, we could literally be looking at the day when there are no more internal combustion engines, and I'm not even talking like 30 years in the future. The way some of these German engineers are talking, it's like 5 years in the future. Norway has already has 60. Help me out here, Mike. 62% or 67% of all vehicles on the road are full electrics.
The electrical hybrid.
Right, 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 right. Electric or hybrid.
Yeah. And um, hey, complex. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. What's going on, everyone?
Chilling, man, chilling.
Complex.
But what they did with this car, man, is impeccable in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Teslas came out 2013. They were really kind of getting off their feet. 2015, they really made a big splash, and then recently, man, with the P100D in a ludicrous mode, people were blown away by that, right? People were blown away by that. But the Porsche Taycan is on another level. It's 800 volts. It's not like the Tesla. The Tesla, I think, it's 400 volts on the internal electrification of it. So the Porsche is um, basically out leaping it in terms of design. I
Look
mean,
at
you
this
don't
in
see it. You don't see it, but the internal specifications say otherwise.
right. Look at that interior, bro.
Hmm.
That blows away Tesla.
Yeah,
Once
Tesla is
again,
really sparse.
yeah, I mean, that anything automotive. I mean, bro, the Germans are the best in the world, man. I mean, how do you look at that interior? It speaks for itself. I don't need to say a word.
Yeah, well, Triple X will come in and say, it's not that much better than GM or Ford interior, but hmm
There's a lot of people going. They're gonna learn today about this EV game, man. I mean, you guys got to stop fighting it, man. You got to stop fighting it.
Yeah, because it's we were just talking about that, bro. This is not 20 or 30 years in the future. This is now. This is right now. Bro, the internal combustion engine is dead. When people say, "Oh, I think that there is going to be improvements and there's going to be efficiencies and they're developing this and they're developing that," you know, to those individuals, I say go back and check your history. Direct injection goes all the way back to the 1940s or 50s. Complex help me out with that. I want to say the 40s for direct injection. Turbochargers are over 100 years old, as are superchargers. Okay, so even so you have these, basically I call them eco boost motors, downsized engines, single or dual turbo with direct injection technology. That's all 100-year-old technology. What Ford did, Ford just looked backwards and just modernized it. The point is, incremental efficiencies cannot save the fact that the internal combustion engine is dead. The future is, it's not will be, it is all electrics, and you're seeing it now. So, you know, once the once once the Germans stop resting on their laurels as the best engineers in the world, and the best vehicles, and they put their full engineering and automotive creative powers toward this, you're going to see full electrification across all German vehicles. The only question is how quickly can they roll their products out?
Hmm. To your point about the 911 going electric, that's what the new 992 was designed for. There's a small space behind the seat
Mhm.
for batteries for electrification. They left it there purposely for that reason. I
Yeah.
think the first 911 hybrid should be out by September of next year. So
Wow.
I don't know how they're going to. There's no real details as to what they're going to do with the electrification of it. Is it going to be like the NSX where the electrification is used for performance, or is it going to be like um, your typical Prius where they use it to conserve fuel um, and reduce CO2 output? No one really knows as of yet. At least I haven't seen anything personally. But either way, if they can figure out a way to use it for either or, because
Mhm.
the 911 now, the um, 911 engine now does have auto shut off at the light, so um, it also has cylinder deactivation and activation. So
Right, right.
take out of the six cylinders, it brings it down to three. So
Mhm.
it's pretty interesting.
which which goes back to incremental advances. Cylinder deactivation, it sounds good on paper, it sounds good in theory, but bro, I don't know, I'm just guessing off the top of my head. um engine shut off has got to be hell on the starter motor. I would really like to see the long-term effects of vehicles shutting off the motor at every stoplight, and then starting back up, shutting off, starting back up at every stop. That has got to wear out your starter motors over time. But you know, we'll see.
Well, to the point of that you're making, the engine doesn't fully shut off, so it's not like it's the engine goes dead and then the starter motor has to have 100% jolt to the engine to turn it back on. Everything is still spinning. It's just spinning in a very slower rate.
Wait, so you're telling me, but I thought that when the car stops, the fuel pump shuts off, the ignition shuts off, the cylinders are actually not moving. Like everything's primed, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So you're still maintaining full current to the ECU,
Hmm.
and the fuel system is still primed, but
Hmm.
the cylinders are not moving. So that starter motor has to spin the motor. Every, Everything else doesn't have to start up because it's still primed.
Hmm.
But the point is, every time you take your foot off the brake, that start that starter motor has to spin the crankshaft. So what I'm saying is that that is way over the duty cycle of what starter motors used to be built for. What I'm surmising is that over the long haul, that has got to reduce the life of your starter motor.
I think that's factored into the warranty, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Right. I don't know either. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
mhm. Triple X in the chat says just a bunch of Euro trash. I prefer to be called. Yeah,
Oh God.
yeah, I prefer it to be called a Euro Pookie. Thank you. Guten Tag, Triple X. Guten Tag.
Show and Mike, put up the interior again, so he can compare it to a Ford or a Dodge Charger.
Hmm.
Look at that. Oh, that blows away anything from Detroit. That is sweet. That is sweet.
You know, the problem with the Tesla is that it just has this big iPad, for a dashboard, and it's like that. At some point, they should have advanced it to something more. But I don't know if you saw the documentary about Tesla before. I think we talked about it maybe a couple months ago, maybe back in June. They basically are running lean to build the Tesla. So
Really?
whatever, yeah, they're running very very lean. They're basically parts bending a whole lot of things.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I want to be fair to Tesla here because I think Tesla is the first case study in a purely electric EV platform that's American, right? You see, so I don't expect Tesla to kind of just match the overall quality of, say, like a Porsche in the event that Porsche decides that it wants to build an EV. I would still give Porsche, Audi, any of these other manufacturers the leg up if they came out with a production car because they've just, as a company, they've been manufacturing cars for far longer than Tesla has. I think what Tesla has done though is they basically broke through that glass ceiling. And so that's what I commend them on. Now, I would say, match up the Tesla 2020 Roadster, performance to performance with some of the better offerings that some of the German manufacturers are going to bring out. Then let's see what we got. But just like looking at the Model S, the Model X, and the Model 3, I would separate those from comparison to what Porsche has put out. I would personally.
Earl Owens in the chat says, why didn't Porsche jump on Tesla existing charging network? Because Porsche, Volkswagen of Europe had already committed to building charging stations for themselves, and you're talking something to the effect of 850 volt charging stations, which is beyond what Tesla uses. I think Tesla only uses like 440 volts. So they already had their own agenda to build charging stations at every single dealership, as well as in some of these other locations on the highways. I'm not sure how they got around that in terms of state regulations and whatnot, but they seem to be very much committed to this. We discussed this about 6 months ago that they were Volkswagen, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes. I think they were in Bosch and a couple of others. I think Siemens of Europe. I think they were all kind of built some kind of like what do you call it? A consortium of European electric vehicle charging standards. I think that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it was Bosch, Siemens, and one other company. Yeah.
Yeah. So and to your point, this tech is still not so much the tech, the infrastructure. The infrastructure planning is still relatively new. So over time, as things get ironed out, you will begin to see more uniformity. So things are still in the, I don't want to say the infancy stage, but it's still relatively new, relatively speaking. You know, as to as to as vehicle fleets become more and more electrified, um, What's going to happen to the existing internal combustion engines? I can guess, I can surmise. I really don't know. I have my own thoughts, but this 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 is the future. So as you start to see more and more electric charging stations that have the capacity to supply Teslas, to supply Porsche Ty, Taycans, and everything else from Mercedes and the Germans and you the Japanese. Who knows? You may have universal charging stations like they have in Norway, or you may have the same way we have gasoline stations now. You may have charging stations now where you come to an intersection and three out of the four corners there are three different stations. One will cover German cars, one will cover American cars, one will cover Japanese cars. Again, just guesses. I don't know, but as the infrastructure tech advances, a lot of these current questions, in my mind, will be answered.
Well, keep in mind that China is a massive market, and they already have wireless charging infrastructure in place.
Get out of town.
Yeah, that was done. That was done about 2 years ago. So, I think they were the first ones to come up with wireless charging infrastructure. So, your buses and cars. We talked about this a few months ago, right? Complex. They had designed their highway to be basically like speed ramps.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
yeah. So
I
what
do
I'm
recall
saying
that.
here, yeah, what I'm saying here is I don't think that the plug is going to matter in 10 years. I think what's going to happen is that they will build wireless charging into the ground at whatever voltage they decide to go at. And every car will be able to pull up into Walmart or Target or whatever mall it is or whatever garage it is, and the car will charge as soon as it crosses that pod of the parking space.
You know, Mike. The real question here is, where are the American manufacturers on this? I don't see anything from GM, anything from Dodge.
They're getting rid. The GM just got rid of the Volt.
They just got
What are
rid
they
of the
gonna?
Bolt.
They got rid of their electric car offering, right?
Okay.
Like they're not actually showing any sort of willingness to embrace an EV market. It's actually in the United States it's quite the opposite. That's the reason why they're always trying to short Tesla out. They're trying to roll back EPA regulations with regards to emissions. You know, the United States is completely backwards, and that largely just has to do with the fact that we don't control any part of EV infrastructure, whether it's batteries, whether it's motor production, creating components like controllers, all that type of stuff. All that stuff is, dude, that's the domain of the Chinese.
And bro, they are signing their own death warrants because now, what about the Chevy Bolt, the Bolt? That's the full electric because the Volt is a partial hybrid. If I'm correct, on that.
Yeah, because they don't need the Volt anymore.
Mhm.
They don't need the Volt. They already have the Bolt. So, and they have another EV coming as well. But to your point about Americans not investing into this, the biggest problem that they have here is that the utility companies have a death grip on supply of electricity. So
Mhm.
you can't sell electricity in the United States, from my understanding, and in most states, as an individual. That is determined by whoever the public utility is. Only they can resell electricity. You're not allowed to resell it at all. So to your point, where the Americans, I guess they're sitting on both of their thumbs, because there's so much private interest involved in who controls the expansion of electrical infrastructure.
Well, if you do it based off of a Powerwall, so basically what you have is if you have giant battery farms of Powerwall systems that are off grid, right? So basically the charge or electricity that you hold is in these Powerwall systems, and then a car can just pull up and you just dump off of the battery into the car, and then you send the car on its way, you charge them. That's one way around it. And, you know, I've seen some models, actually, you know, some business models for that. But that's one way around it, is that the charging stations are actually completely off grid.
Yeah, but bro, again, and I don't mean this to take shots. I don't. I mean this as an honest, genuine question. I do not see any investment from Chrysler, Ford, or GM towards full electric vehicles. I don't, and I think that is a very big mistake. As
Well,
much as yeah, go ahead, Mike.
now, I was just going to say, to your point, you have to keep in mind that both of these companies needed to be bailed out, Chrysler and GM. So
You're
in
right.
their restructuring efforts, they were just basically trying to, tread water. Whereas Ford, Ford lucked out because they got their money during the Bush administration, and they were able to stave off, what happened to Chrysler and GM. So their electrification portfolio has moved them in from a car manufacturer to a transportation company. That's why there's so much investment into bird scooters and all these micro transportation outfits. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at the broader picture. They're going through the same thing that IBM went through. IBM made computers, they made computing technology, but then IBM got out of the manufacturing of computers and technology, and got into the patent perspective and services.
Okay.
So I think that's where Ford is going. But in terms of GM and Chrysler, there has been rumors the last couple of years about the two merging together because they have to survive, so they don't get cannibalized.
You know what? I look at a few. Excuse me. I look at a few. I look at a few products. I look at the Demon. I look at um, all of the Red Eye and the Hellcat and the SRT products, and I look at the new C8. Those are billions of dollars that could have and probably should have been put towards electrification, because people can yell on the top of the mountains and punch and kick and scream all they want. It is clear that if auto manufacturers do not make a full scale push towards full electric vehicles, they will not survive. And
The only
I don't
thing,
know.
Paul, I was
Yeah,
going to say, Paul, the only thing that's saving them, and I'm going to have to hop off of here in a minute because my daughter's back to school night, so I'm heading in there right now. But the only thing that's saving them right now is Trump and his tariffs. Because if you really dive deep into what it is that the United States is really trying to hit the Chinese on, is that they're trying to keep all of their technology at bay. They're trying to keep all of the 5G stuff at bay. They don't want it to encroach upon the American market, and they definitely don't want Chinese electric vehicles coming over here, because the Chinese produce quality electric cars comparable to anything that you buy here. But think about the price point that they could sell it at.
mm.
It would
Well,
wipe out the car market here.
and see. So that's the impetus behind my questions. I would really like to see full electric vehicle offerings from GM, from Ford, from Chrysler. I don't see why we shouldn't have those. I mean, listen, I love the internal combustion engine. I always have and I always will. But the reality is the industry has moved. It's not moving. That's the thing. It has already moved towards full electrification. America, for some reason, refuses to acknowledge that, and
Well, the one
that
other
short
thing, Paul,
sightedness. Yeah,
I was gonna say one other thing. See, the thing is that you can't leverage the full capabilities of a 5G, infrastructure with gas-powered cars.
right.
That's the other thing. You simply can't. I mean, there's nothing to improve upon an internal combustion engine powered vehicle at this point? Nothing. The only thing you can improve upon with regards to vehicles is if one, they're electric, and two, they're piped into a data infrastructure that allows them to do things like drive by themselves.
Right. And exactly. And that's my point. And I don't see why. I don't understand why, with all the billions of dollars that GM, Ford, and Chrysler have at their disposal, that they're not jumping on this. Okay, I'm not knocking them. I'm not. I'm just questioning. I don't know. Is it cultural? Is it a quote unquote Americana thing? But
They don't have the tooling.
fair enough.
Tooling is a big part of the car startup, and that's something that they didn't have. And where are you going to build it, right? You have to build a plant like that in Mexico from the ground up. There's nothing here really for them to actually. I don't think there's any more facilities and skill sets available to actually make the transition. So you would have to build it from the ground up somewhere else. And what is the UAW going to say about that, right? They're going to push back against it. But there's also been a lot of rumors about GM opening factories in China. But what are they opening those factories for? Are they going to rebrand Chinese vehicles as GM vehicles and then import them into the United States? We don't know.
Which my excellent point, which also brings up a age-old question between the big three and the UAW.
Mhm.
How much do you cling to work rules and workplace conditions
Mhm.
versus embracing emerging technology
Mhm.
to help the long-term viability and strength of the company? So I think at this point, the mindsets of both the big three and the UAW has to change. It just has to. Like they have to put their heads together and create some sort of a consensus on investing in full electrification of their vehicle fleets.
Mhm.
Because if not, and I'll tell you what, there is a there is a wild card in all of this. Chinese vehicles. We know that they don't have the same um, quality and safety standards as American products. So generally, they're crap. But the electrification technology, it's a game changer. And they are there and they are coming. So it's only a matter of time before their safety and quality standards meet the levels of the Americans and the Japanese and the Germans.
They already do. If you look at there's actually a very good video on CGTN from earlier this summer about Chinese international car show or something like that in Latin America, and a lot of their cars don't look that much different than an Infinity or a potential Volkswagen, um, or it's not should say Volkswagen, a Kia or a Hyundai.
Mhm.
They look like carbon copies of it, and from what I've heard, their cars are significantly cheaper than American cars in Latin America, and people love them. They're all over the place, and especially in Ecuador, Peru, Argentina. They're really big there. So when it comes to electric cars and this whole entire trade war, it sounds to me that GM had some kind of a game plan to open up manufacturing facilities in China, but those would just be Chinese vehicles rebranded as GM vehicles and then sold back in the United States, and that would collapse the whole entire UAW in the United States because those vehicles are not being produced there anyways. I mean, what would they be doing?
Right, exactly. Which would be a very interesting power move, but and to Complex's point about the trade tariffs,
Hmm.
um, that's a very valid point. And I would only add to it is my question is I
Hmm.
don't see that as a viable long-term plan from the standpoint of the big three. The
Hmm.
tariffs won't last forever, and the U.S. automotive market won't collapse tomorrow. So 6 months from now, a year from now, what then? Because two more weeks we have on Wall Street, triple witching is coming, and President Trump was announced that he may he may he may bring some more tariffs to coincide with triple witching. What's going to happen to the market then, to the stock market then? How is that going to affect the overall American economy? Because that is a very volatile day, and what's going to happen then? So I'm watching that. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen in 2 weeks when triple witching happens. But from a long-term viability stasis, I just really think that for their long-term health and viability as companies, the big three American manufacturers, they have to make a wholesale push into full electrification, because if not, they won't survive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's in the chat who want to get on the panel, the link is in the chat. You're welcome to get on the panel. Yeah, this is strange times for the American manufacturers. China's coming. They're not backing down. They got facilities. They're pumping vehicles out the wahoo. They have 1 billion people. GM wants a part of that market. Ford wants a part of that market. So does Fiat Chrysler. They want in on that market. So do the Europeans. 1 billion vehicles, 1 billion people. That's a lot of vehicles they got to sell. And we know that the Southeast Asian market, man, is hot on American vehicles, especially the Buicks, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't get it, but
yeah, I don't get it either. I guess it's because the lacrosse, is so big and like a boat to them. Asian cars are never really built like that. They're really just
small.
Yeah, micro and key based cars and stuff like that. Like that doesn't spell luxury to them. They want something like a big boat. So you can sell a big Buick with a 4-cylinder engine. It probably wouldn't bother them anyways. Be crap mileage and crap performance with. But China, from an infrastructure perspective, is all ready to go. So it's just a matter of getting the vehicles on the road.
Yeah, right. I mean, I just, to anyone who's listening, this is not an attack on the big three. It's not, but it's a case of harsh reality. It's a very harsh reality. This is the future, and the big three have to make a full-scale push towards electrification of their fleets now. They can't wait. They have to do it now, because if not, they won't survive. So now you're even starting to see across Europe. Of course, Norway is a small country. Yes, we know that, but that's an example. As more and more nation states at the state level put legislation in place to further push the cause of electrification, what do you do then? Because even Germany, and I love, I worship at the German altar of speed every day, all day, but even Germany, they are behind.
Hey, first of all, peace to the chat. How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm good, brother. Yourself?
Good evening, bro.
Fantastic. Why are we talking about this, man? Can we get back to the C8? Like, what are we doing up here, man? We still talking about German, European stuff, man?
Well, we're actually a day late. I wanted to do this last night, man, but the geopolitics ran over more time than I anticipated, so I figured we'll hold off.
I got you. Yeah, I heard something about some interior of the new Porsche, man. Man, I'll take that Datsun interior over this, man.
Hi, City. What's going on, fam?
Peace, fam.
Chilling.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Are y'all ready for me to lean into this? Paul, you soft shoring it, man. Come on, dog. We talk about Ford we talk about a company that realized that they have a better V6. They don't understand that they have the most capable engine that they have is a V6, and they still want to push this cross plane engine on I don't know, the fan base of the Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
The smarter people higher up was like, no, we're not putting that in the GT.
Mm-hmm.
They way late to the party. And even when, you know what I'm saying, I'm slowly coming around to the electric stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said the last time, the guy who built and converted electric vehicles for the last 40 years, he said that the battery chemistry and the motor technology that Tesla has, he said that it is too late for GM and a lot of these manufacturers to even jump in the game.
You know why is because Tesla started from the ground up as an electric car company, whereas the American three, they were always gas based, diesel based companies. So a lot of their research and development went into just gas based vehicles. That sucked up a lot of their R&D budgets. So now when it comes time to actually get into electric, you're playing a lot of catch up with Tesla. You're
Bro,
playing a whole lot of catch up.
Yeah,
bro,
GM kind of dropped the ball.
Oh really? Oh really? You don't say.
With the, hey, Mike, man. Hey, Mike, behave, brother. Behave. No, with the EV1 back in the early 90s, like.
Oh yeah, that was a Honda GM project, right?
Yeah. They should have really kept at it, man, back then. But yeah, go ahead, Paul. I interrupted you. I'm sorry, brother.
no, bro. I was just gonna say that, you know, whether it's Ford. See, the thing is this, right? Um, both the Americans and the Germans got comfortable. They got comfortable. You know, Germany got comfortable for the fact that they created the car, they created the engine, they created the engine, they created the car. They build the best cars in the world. The Americans got comfortable in that
I'm sorry. Go
the
ahead.
the
That's
Americans the Americans comfortable in that they have an entire culture built around big heavy V8s,
But but
American cars. So
but
the point is that the industry, the technology has moved towards full electrification. The industry is not moving, it has moved. Once you leave America, it's all about electrification of vehicles. So the point here, you know, to speak to to Mike's point, for GM, Ford, or Chrysler to go towards full electrifications, that's hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D. Then you have to build plants to build these things. That's additional hundreds of millions of dollars to build plants for tooling, to retrain workers, to now establish contracts with parts suppliers. So that takes a tremendous amount of money in a short-term span when these companies are all publicly traded companies. So you have shareholders who don't want to see money thrown down the drain for products that will not come to market for several years. So, you
yeah,
know, they're under a tremendous amount of strain.
but
I
but
understand that. Yeah, go ahead.
but that's exactly like what I seen when I seen the C8. They're like rear engine, and all the rest of it. In my head, subconsciously, I can see that as this is the last hurrah. That like this is the big bang for, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure they in the background somewhere doing something. But will it is it we to be honest, we don't know what's going on in the background. And
Well,
I don't think that they just gonna roll over. I'm pretty sure they're
well,
gonna come with something.
well, to speak to your point about you are sure that they're hoping that there's something in the background and we don't know what's going on. I would say this. One, you're hoping that they're doing something in the background
I'm not hoping.
because
I never.
because we don't know. And number two, if there were anything, bro, there would be some news, there would be some reports, there would be some rumors somewhere. There have been nothing. In fact, the rumors, the rumors have been that they're not making any sort of a push. The rumors have been that Ford is making the largest push towards electrification of vehicles. GM is making next to no push. They're trying to push the Chevy
but
Bolt,
but
but
you know
that's
what?
like
I
next to
wouldn't
nothing.
say they didn't make no push when they brought the vote out. How long ago was that?
2013,
No, actually, it
2014.
was. No, I'm saying no. You know what? You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. You're right. You're
But
right.
Yeah, I
but
think the first initial one was around that time, and it didn't really sell that much. I think it mostly went to government, right? Your city municipalities purchased a whole lot of them on discount. Um, you,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it's not like they didn't bring nothing to the market.
well, you have to understand the Volt was a hybrid. It wasn't a full electric vehicle.
You
Right.
sure?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
positive.
it has a gasoline engine in it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Volt was a hybrid.
Yeah.
Tech.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other car. It was another American car that came on, right?
So
That
the
was,
Bolt, the Bolt came afterwards.
and that one was fully, right?
That's full
Correct.
EV.
Okay, yeah, okay. I wouldn't
You,
drive either of them.
you might be thinking about the Leaf too. The Leaf
Yeah, that was
and
Nissan, right?
yeah, the Leaf was Nissan, and then you had Honda with the Clarity, if I remember correctly,
Yes. Yeah.
with an
Clarity.
But
ugly car.
but look, do
They
you?
all ugly.
Oh, okay. See, look, even I drunk the Kool-Aid, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was
Hmm.
looking at and looking at reviews and stuff. I
Hmm.
listened to the last I listened to the last car talk, and the brother came on. He was saying how he owned one. So I started looking at long-term reviews of them, like people who actually own them,
Hmm.
and like it's way different than what people reviewed them as. You know what I'm saying? Like I had no curiosity of getting in one after somebody reviewed it and they had such harsh critiques. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
For the everyday person that's getting in it, they swear by it.
Yeah, yeah, and even at my job, man, the new EV infrastructure is going into place starting October 1st, and will be finished by December. So, for just because of the the amount of people who have bought electric vehicles, they have no place to charge them at work. So now they're stepping it up. So the infrastructure is going into place little by little.
If they incorporate wireless charging into the actual road, that means that the battery sizes will be smaller and distance wouldn't be such an issue.
The
It
quality the
won't be an
quality
issue.
of the
Yeah.
battery, yeah, the quality of the battery would actually change.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. Even with that small step, if China has that already, they miles and years ahead of what we got going on.
Well, remember that China is just now building up their country, right? They only started 20 years ago. So when they build out these roads, they're building out for long term 100-year expectations. So for them, when they build their roads out and their bridges and highways and stuff, uh, they have a bunch of technocratic people who are sitting in the office saying, "This is what we're gonna, this is the way the market is going, and this is where we need to be." And for the Americans, unfortunately for them, they took all the money out of their civil engineering budgets and put it into the military, and that's why you
Exactly.
and that's why your bridges are falling apart in Minnesota and Washington or Oregon, wherever it was that other bridge fell apart. They
Fast.
said that there's 1,000 bridges in the United States that are condemned. They
At
shouldn't be driven
least.
on. They should not be driven on at all.
When China built the three gorges dam. See, everything in China starts at the state level, whereas
Hmm.
in America, It's
Hmm.
individual contractors or it's municipalities at best. So
Hmm.
where I'm going with this is the Three Gorges Dam was a state level initiative. That project was so large, and it's still the largest dam in the world. Caterpillar, who is the global leader in heavy construction and mining equipment, Caterpillar built a plant on site rather than ship vehicles and parts over there. Everything was built on site. That's how massive that project was.
Hmm.
That project was so massive. China said, listen, we don't care what it costs. We want it built. So the Chinese came to US steel mills
Hmm.
and they said, we need steel for this project. The steel mill said, we don't have enough. We have to supply America. They said, well, how much does it cost for 1 ton of raw steel? For argument's sake, it's $1 a ton. They said, all right, we'll pay you $3 a ton. I said, well, no, it's $4 a ton. Okay, we'll pay you $20 a ton. I said, what? I said, we don't care, whatever it is. So that created two things. It drove up the price of steel and it created a steel shortage in America. So there was a steel shortage, and there was a steel shortage and a lumber shortage for about 3 years in America, which actually slowed down the construction business in America. So my point here is that because everything in China is at the state level, they literally don't care what it costs. They're building the country. So what took America from I want to say what the 1860s to about the 1950s or 60s, 100 years, the Chinese were determined, well, we're going to do what America did in half as much time, and they don't care what it costs. And apparently, clearly, they're winning.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest projects that America's working on from a civil engineering standpoint is replacing the pipes in the ground. Those pipes were put in the early 1900s before World
Right.
War One,
Hmm.
and those pipes they're bursting all over the place. You see it in New York City, floods on certain streets and stuff like that in the winter. Um, so they're long overdue to be replaced. So America is caught with its pants down, putting billions of dollars into the military and leaving the infrastructure in decay. And China is coming in with fresh engineering projects, off the ground where it has put them in the right position. And the
Which
same thing
is
is happening in Africa right now. You see it with the standard gauge railway (SGR). A lot of infrastructure in Africa is brand new. They never had infrastructure before.
exactly, which is another game changer. So
Mhm.
it actually costs more money from the American standpoint to replace existing infrastructure than it costs China to actually build new infrastructure from the ground up domestically and in Africa. So again, they are ahead in every way possible. And to anyone who may disagree, that is not taking sides. It's a matter of the facts on the ground.
You know what? I look at this situation with Porsche, and I just think like, man, this gotta work. It's gotta work.
It's not good. It's not gotta work. It will work.
No, they already sold out. They already sold over 30,000 vehicles of
Man,
the
what I'm
Taycan.
saying is on the road actually work, because you know what? Even I was skeptical until the more I started looking into Tesla and the actual owners, like not the press, not you know what I'm saying, the writers and the journalists, but actual owners is what made me like,
I think
you
so.
know what I'm saying?
She mentioned something to me about it, and then
Nobody has to bring anything. If you want to.
okay.
How that is. I'm sorry.
But you know what? What would stop somebody like, if GM and other companies don't get in, what would stop somebody like Apple from getting in?
There's a lot of well, Apple doesn't actually build cars. They don't have neither did Tesla, granted, but at this point of the game, the lead time and the learning curve is so high.
I like to talk too, but then
Uh-oh.
like I lose it a little bit because then I start messing around.
We're gonna have to mute Ulysses.
One other question. So I'll have my final work schedule here next week, so I can't commit to anything.
No problem. I don't think maybe we can't commit to that yet.
Hey, Ulysses, what's going on, bro?
Yeah.
Picture.
Okay.
Once you figure out again.
Hello?
Yeah, I muted everybody because I couldn't find an
Oh, okay.
mute button for Complex.
Yeah.
But to answer Ty City's question, Apple had some ambitions of getting into the electric vehicle, autonomous vehicle game, and I think the Chinese pretty much put a stop to that with their international espionage rings inside the corporation. We covered that some months ago, but they've basically had their intellectual property hijacked and sent back to China already. So
Nice.
Apple is playing catch up with Tesla. Tesla is leaps and bounds ahead of Apple. Now, Apple has hired a whole bunch of Tesla management and engineers, for their autonomous vehicle program. The only problem is this isn't a good time for Apple to be doing this type of stuff. I mean, they have the capital to invest into it, but the problem is the turnaround time is going to be so long. Porsche just put out the Taycan. This thing is blowing everything out of the water. If you're Apple, you're 10 years behind.
Wait, they already got one working? I couldn't find nobody driving one.
What, an Apple car?
It just came out, man.
Yeah, but that's
The
what I'm
Apple
saying.
car or the Porsche?
The Porsche, we already saying it's blowing everything away already. Nobody, I couldn't find nobody driving it.
No. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying there is nothing on the market that's comparable to the Porsche right now in terms of design spec. That's why we're having this hangout. The closest thing that you would have is a Tesla, and the Tesla is nowhere near what the Porsche is.
But you know what? I think Tesla been getting away with the minimalist theory and design. You know what I'm saying?
They run lean. We discussed this earlier, but they run lean because they have to. They need quick turnaround for one, and two, it has to be cost efficient, or else they're going to go in there in the negative every single time.
Yeah, but how long you think they could get away with that though? Before people start wanting to be more plush.
Well, they've gotten away with it for as long as they have because they've been the only player in the game. We've also been talking about market forces too. It's not as if any of the other automotive manufacturers are seriously trying to make a run at Tesla right now. And anyone who could or would make a serious run at Tesla is either somebody like a Porsche, an Audi. They have the e-tron that they just released, or it's going to be a majority of the Chinese firms.
No, you're forgetting Mercedes just released their stuff today too. And
you're damn right, and Mercedes also. Let's not also forget, that was Lotus. Lotus the new Lotus EV car we talked about.
Yeah, that's their top of the line Evija, but it's not a common product, right? It's not a common product. But right. BMW also has electric vehicles coming out next summer as well. So beyond the i8.
Right. So what we're looking at is a burgeoning market. This is all new. Tesla was the first to it. So I mean, what standards really did Tesla have to meet other than its own? You see, now you got to understand now that Porsche comes out with its offering. Now you're talking about an electric Porsche that's meeting Porsche engineering standards. What is a Tesla engineering standard up until this point?
Also, you know what?
Go ahead, Paul.
Porsche has been developing this technology for about 10 plus years, because we also have the current Porsche 918, But before that, they had the Carrera GT. So hybrid technology has a direct relation to full electric technology. So you have all of that R&D history, the general German engineering thing. Porsche's Porsche's eggheads have been cracking at this for a long time. Now you have the Taycan. So it's only going to be a matter of time before we start seeing the Golf GTI and the Jetta and the Passat full electric at
All
sub
that
forty thousand
technology is
dollar
going to trickle
prices.
down. Yeah,
Right.
it's all going to trickle down.
And once you start seeing a $25,000 or a $30,000 full electric vehicle from Audi or Volkswagen, bro, it's a wrap. And again, GM, Ford, and Chrysler have nothing on the horizon, nothing coming down the pipe to even compete with that. They don't even have the
I
R
don't
and
know,
D
Paul.
history.
Yeah,
I
You
don't
keep
know,
I
saying
don't
Paul.
know.
I don't know, but there is nothing on the horizon that no one's even talking about. See, the thing about the Volt had been talked about. I don't know if you follow it. The Volt had been talked about all the way back as far as 2005. Then they made the official announcement in 2008. It was delayed. My memory said 2011, Mike said 2012, 2013. Either way is there was talk about it, so we knew, for those who followed it, there were things coming down the pipe. Right now, there's nothing coming down. There's no talk, there's no rumors, there's
Nothing on the
no
roadmap.
releases, nothing. There's nothing from the big three. So I understand about I don't know. You're right. We don't know officially, but there is nothing on the roadmap from the big three for full electric vehicles.
Well, Paul,
Hey
let's be
man,
fair.
I would
Let's
say,
be fair to Ford real quick. What
Mhm.
Ford has done, Ford has decided that it's going to get more into the service side of things, and it's going
Okay.
to get more into acquisition. So Ford has been buying out like these electric scooter startups. Like Mike we kind of dropped these articles. This was maybe like 6 months back. A lot of this talk was coming out. Ford was buying up these micro transport startups and stuff like that. So Ford does have a bit of a roadmap, but it involves owning or acquiring other companies to put under the Ford umbrella. So like micro transportation solutions, electric rideshare type platforms, and all that. Ford has actually shown some form of a roadmap. The other two I can't speak to.
Well,
Gotcha.
Ford.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say that Ford, to Complex's point, Ford, actually, we covered an article about Ford getting into Africa in terms of the supply chain logistics aspect of the coltan that's used in the battery manufacturing of electric vehicles. Working with IBM on the blockchain project for Hyperledger to make sure that these sort of raw materials coming out of the ground, the cobalt, the coltan, and that stuff, is actually going to be certified from the ground all the way down to the manufacturing plant. So that's a big move that Ford took on. GM and Chrysler haven't even looked at that. But then again, Chrysler, for all intents and purposes, will become Chinese in the next couple of years, anyways, because as Fiat sells them off to the to Geely or another one of these Chinese conglomerates, they'll eventually become a Chinese company too.
Okay.
Chinese charger, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about?
I see what you did there, Paul.
Yeah.
Hey man, too bad Pontiac and Plymouth ain't here. They clean Porsche clock right now, man.
The only
Yeah,
clock
okay.
to be cleaning is one like in Big Ben in London or something like that.
Exactly.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Tyson. Go ahead.
so where does all this leave Fisker right now?
Fisker's going to recover. Whoever made the investments into Fisker,
It was that
probably see
Indian company,
Tata.
Tata. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Fisker is more of a boutique brand than it is a mass producer. So I don't think that they're going to be that much of a they're not going to be that relevant. They're going to
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, Fisker is more like Lotus.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it definitely more boutique specialty cars. So yeah, they're not gonna be more mass like that. Yep, I agree. Good
Yeah,
point.
so we don't have to worry too. You don't have to worry too much about Fisker. But if Fisker, and this is where I get mad at guys like Jay Z and all these other A-list celebrities. For what Fisker was going for on the market, Jay Z could have bought that.
Yeah, a whole lot, man. Yeah.
Jay Z, Puffy, all these guys could have put their money together and could have had a outstanding car company that was already ready to go. They just
Yeah.
needed the investment.
You know what, Mike? They keep chasing the NFL for some reason, man. Chasing the validation of the NFL and award shows.
Everybody wants to be Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, but you know what? If they would have turned Fisker around, they would have been able to buy a football team.
Right. That's the point. Yeah, but yeah, you're right, Ty City. You're right.
That was a good deal because they picked up Jaguar too.
Dude, didn't speaking of which, didn't Lamborghini sell for something outrageously cheap back in the late 80s, man, when they had problems like 8 or 9 million or something?
Yeah, but that was in that time.
I know it's a different era, but it just goes to that point, man. Brothers it seems like they never ready or never make the moves when the opportunity is there, man.
Because they're not thinking on that level. I mean, we talked about Shaq a couple of weeks ago, but although he's a techie, he's not. He's a tech investor, but he doesn't have the foresight to see that, right? You need guys like the Black Brain Trust to be on the committee to point out, where your money should actually be at. But
facts.
You know what?
Yeah, no, I agree. When you have that money, you should have a team.
You know what though? That Fisker Karma is so heavy on the block, man. Mm-hmm. It's so low and wide and long. Like that they hit a home run with that one. But I don't know. I mean, of course they had they failures and stuff like that, but I always thought like that body style kind of set that 4-door GT look off.
That was an early iteration. There was no telling what the next iteration of the Fisker would have been had they done it on time, right? So, it's just one of those things, man. I know, some people don't like us talking about celebrity investors and stuff like that, but these were opportunities for that were sitting on the table, and none of these guys have you looked at it.
Yeah. It makes me think too, man. I don't want to get too far off topic, man. How cheap everything was here in Detroit, man. Before Gilbert got in here real tough, Dan Gilbert and bought up all the downtown, et cetera, man. This could have been Chocolate City for real.
Well, now it's Chopstick City with the Chinese going after.
Yeah, they got all that.
Yep. Facts. Yeah. That's facts, man.
Yo, but I like the Fisker, man. And you know what? I remember when Fisker folded and they just sent an email out to all the owners saying that they was gonna honor the warranty for like 6 more months or something like that.
Well, they have to honor it. Yeah, they have to honor it. Yeah, they have to honor it. They can't leave them high and dry.
And the price of them Fiskers tanked.
Yeah, they sure did. You're right about that.
Because Fisker was always looking for someone to purchase them. At the time, everyone was putting their money behind Tesla and not behind Fisker because Fisker never did anything revolutionary in the sense that Tesla did. So it made sense that Fisker got shorted on the market, but whoever invested into them.
I think they're still using the same tooling and stuff too, because that car don't look like it changed that much. And I think the design is still relevant.
You said what?
I said I think that they're still using the same tooling because the design of that car is still relevant.
Well, there's only so much money that's going to be invested into a new body skin, right? A new style. I mean, if it works, it works. You know,
Yeah,
no
no,
real reason to change it.
No,
I
I
agree.
wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it.
Well, Tesla hasn't really changed in all that many years either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
costs
you
a
know
lot
what?
of money to change.
Okay, so how you feel about Tesla bringing a truck to the market?
Well, they have to. They have to expand.
You think they should just focus on the performance still, or
No, no. There's
No,
no
no,
money.
no,
There's no big money
no. There's
return
no
on
money there.
investment
They
in
gotta
that.
go for the truck.
Well, the trucks print money, right?
Yeah,
Ford F-150 is the top selling vehicle in the country. Why,
yeah.
makes a lot of sense for them.
40 years in a row, the F-150 is the #1 selling vehicle in America. 40
yeah,
years straight.
and they make the body out of aluminum so they can say it's best in class because the weight class is lower.
Bro,
That's amazing.
as Mike said, man, the thing prints money out of the #1 selling vehicle in America for 40 years straight, the Ford F-150. So, Ford has to put whatever the R&D budget is, that the Ford F-150 has to get the most amount of money because they have to get that right. That thing keeps the lights on for Ford.
If somebody beats them to the electric truck market, which I think an electric motor is prime for torque, you know what I'm saying? And that'd be an awesome application for pulling.
Yeah, but the only thing there is the more you drain on the battery, which is the torque application, how much usability do you have? So now we're talking range, and now we're talking actual hours of usage. I'm not I'm not bad mouthing it. I'm just saying is the the tech there still needs to be further developed. So what you might see, and based on a lot of the articles that have been covered at the Black Brain Trust, you're more likely to see semis for the trucking industry fully electric before you see wide scale adoption of, say, the Ford F-150 and the 250 and the 350 as being full electric vehicles.
Well, you see in Germany, I think they did early this year, overhead electric lines for the Scania European trucks on
Right.
what is that, the Autobahn.
Mhm.
Walmart did a project with Volvo years ago. Maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Walmart's always investors in logistics, right? So they're always looking at how can they offset costs in terms of supply chain logistics in trucking. We just saw UPS early this week has electric based UPS trucks already out there. If you ever, they look like a regular UPS truck, but they have batteries at the top. If I remember correctly, I think the batteries are at the top of the truck itself.
See, and
Hey,
UPS been on the alternative stuff because they trucks been running on propane for a long time.
hey, Mike. Really quick, very off topic, very off topic. Another game changer. When are we going to see full electric airplanes?
That's a good question because I've seen a few articles. I know the sport pilot class of planes, which are basically single engine prop planes. Um, they
I,
do have electric planes, but they're not long range.
Right.
Yet.
I would prefer a hybrid in a plane, Paul.
Most planes are hybrid now, though.
Yeah, they do, but I would prefer they kind of keep them that way, man. When they're all electric, the risk, man, not having that backup engine, it just concerns me because it's not like a car. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, I don't know, bro. I just threw it out there because nothing pollutes more than a jet engine.
I,
But
I
um,
agree.
but full electric planes now you're talking That is a
Yeah.
quantum leap forward in technology. I actually sent out an article through the email chain months ago. I think it was MIT. They created a full electric plane that has no moving parts. It
Oh, it's
uses that.
ion based. Yes, ion based.
Yes. Yeah.
But Paul, do you know how cool jet engines are?
I love jet engines, but again, it's the
Good
same thing
lord.
with automotive technology, bro. Technology has to advance. Aerospace technology and automotive technology, they have not advanced at the same
Oh,
rate
hey,
as
you
everything
know what,
else.
Paul? I agree with you on how old a lot of the technology is. I know y'all was talking about selective cylinders. Cadillac had that in the 70s.
Right, yeah, and it didn't do well. And in fact, GM invented the airbag and anti-lock brakes. It didn't sell well, so Bosch took it. They put it in Mercedes, and everyone thinks that Mercedes was the first vehicle to the market with ABS and airbags, but it was actually GM. They put it in an Oldsmobile way back in the 70s.
Yo, did you know that they put seatbelts in cars and people were superstitious about them?
Dude,
That's
I was born.
crazy. Think
I
about something so normal. Like people was freaked out. Like, why would we need seatbelts if we're not going to crash? You know what I'm saying?
dude, I don't know how old you are. I'm in my mid 40s. So back in the 70s and to the early 80s, we didn't wear seatbelts ever.
Yeah, nobody really wore seatbelts. But in the 1930s and the 1940s, man, they were seeing so many car accidents, man. People getting ejected out of vehicles and stuff like that. It was
Hmm.
pretty brutal.
Yeah,
To be in one of those vehicles and get tossed out of it.
Yeah, they wasn't crash testing those cars either. They was meant to not absorb impact. The steering wheel did break, bend off, or nothing. You was out
No,
of there
man.
pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. If you got hit, man, that was it. You have to remember there was no cell phones, no nothing like that. So if you got ejected out of your vehicle on the side of a road somewhere, you pretty much laid there until somebody found you.
Hey, you know what though? The sad, like I can get with the electric stuff. It's just the sad reality of knowing where all of this stuff ends, man.
Well,
And
eventually they'll
that's
move to drones, right?
that
Autonomous based drones.
that's Paul looking at an interior like, look at this interior. It don't have a steering wheel, no pedals, just just seats.
Yeah, that's level five. That's level five autonomous vehicles, right? Level five based autonomous vehicles means that there's no steering wheel.
Minority Report. If you ever saw the movie Minority Report, bro, that day is coming where cars are completely autonomous, no steering wheel. It just has two two bench seats and a screen, and that's
Hmm.
it. You just get in, you say home, and the car just takes you there.
Yeah, and they already have that now in Michigan, right? Was it University of Michigan was testing that last year? We covered that.
Hmm.
I forget the name of the company that does the autonomous vehicle for that, but they were testing it they have it fully working on Michigan's campus. Um, Slow as can be, but it's actually a functional product.
Right.
So
I'm not looking. You know what? I know I'm the grumpy old man, but see, I'm down with the sports cars. Just let me get it. Let me get an electric car. You know what I'm saying? Which is scary because if they get down to 2.3 seconds 0 to 60 time, people's reaction time ain't gonna be like that.
It
That's
is.
getting into some crazy territory.
But bro, it is this car here that you're looking at right now, the Porsche Taycan Turbo S in launch control mode, the 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds.
Man, the C8 are gonna take that, man.
oh yeah, we'll let you tell the story. But
Hey,
the tires on this are not Trofeos. Those are not race compound or Hoosiers. Those are just regular sport tires, but they're not Hoosiers or anything like that. So we don't really know the true 0 to 60 time on these. I mean,
Yeah, but see, now that you know what I'm saying, you pretty much got one control element being the electric motor. Like with a conventional setup, when you got into launch control, you had sensors putting inputs into the engine. But now the engine is actually like the input. Like you probably get 0 to 60 times with like razor sharp precision.
Yeah, I was
I
watching
agree. The
a
power. Go ahead, Mike.
no, I was gonna say I was watching I want to say it was either Matt Farah or somebody else on YouTube, and they did like a 0 to 60 launch, and he said the amount of force that comes from that it sucks your brain right into the seat, into the headrest.
That's cold game, man. Hey.
Did you see the test ride for that new Tesla Roadster, 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds?
I think that's
That's
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
just
when
an
they
estimate.
unveiled the semi. Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the roasters, but the
Yeah, they were doing test rides of the Roadster when they unveiled the Roadster and the semi at the same event.
mhm.
And they were just doing short road tests, like short like 0 to 60 runs with some of the guests and stuff. And they was like, yeah, they were like folded back in the seat when the guy got down on the accelerator.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
so
know
I
what?
agree with you guys.
You know what, Mike? What happens since everybody's gonna have different charging stations? Like you have to go to this one if you got a Porsche, this one if you got a Tesla.
No, it
What's
won't work like that. It won't work like that. It's going to be standardized.
but
It,
how?
you'll have your own plug, and the plug that you plug into from your car to the charging station will eventually just be universal.
Yeah, it's gonna work for all cars.
Yeah, because
yeah.
the United States doesn't play that game with their standards. I think that's what you have UL in QA or whatever it is, the label that's on the outside of all electronic products.
Yeah,
They
DOT.
standardize.
And
Well,
UL TUV standard for Europe.
Yep. Yep. So they don't play those games, proprietary plugs and all that stuff. They either it plugs into a standardized plug or it doesn't plug in at all.
so but Porsche is gonna have a different charging setup, right, than Tesla.
If they have to, because the way the car is designed, it has 800 volts.
Twice
So
the voltage. Twice
twice
the
the voltage of the Tesla. So the
Tesla.
Tesla,
Tesla not gonna let that slide, man. I'm telling you.
well, they're already working on another supercharger anyway. So that's just a matter of fact. But
Right, but see, Thai City. Here's the thing, right? At some point, at some time, there is going to be a state level mandate. So there will come down a federal mandate for charging infrastructure. So everything that you said, your questions will be answered. So it won't be a case of what Tesla allows or what Porsche allows or what NEO allows or what Rimac allows. There will be one government mandated standard. So basically that's what you have in Europe now. Everything is state level mandated. America always holds out to be the last, but at some point enough pressure will be put and there will be state level mandate. So at that point it won't matter what Tesla wants or they allows, or that won't even be in the equation.
mhm.
Paul, listen. I have cars that I'm waiting to get to 25 years so I can import them.
I
I'm still waiting to import cars from 96.
Mhm.
bro, I'm not, listen, we're not saying that those cars won't be on the road. That's not what we're saying. But whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now,
No,
every
but that's
new car sold will be full electric.
no,
That's
but
what
but
I'm saying.
but that's what I'm saying. Like if we have the government so involved, what's stopping them from saying, you know what? this Audi RS6 that wasn't available, even though it's 25 years old. We're not importing anything that's not electric anymore.
No, they're gonna allow you to import it. The only problem is it'll probably fall under a vintage VIN. And vintage VINs basically say 2,500 to 3,000 miles per year is
Yeah.
allotted for those vehicles. So,
Hey Mike, how do I sound? Do I sound okay?
you sound good, dude.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I want to kind of address something that Ty is saying, but go ahead. You finish up.
Well, because to me, I feel like, if you're a gearhead, I feel like now I was looking at a set of Solex carburetors, and I'm sitting there like this piece is going to be looked at like a fine watch one day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'd be like the Book of Eli when they came to the Smithsonian Institute and they had the encyclopedia up there. They didn't have the whole entire thing. You look at that carburetor, like I remember these back in the '90s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you see all the linkages and stuff like that, and you'll be like, it's complicated, but not really. You know what I'm saying? It works.
Well, okay. We have to let's look at this. Let's just kind of. I'm not saying you're not your viewpoint doesn't have nuance or perspective to it. Let me just kind of paint a different picture for you. Okay, so the majority of your millennials don't own cars, don't have a desire to.
I know.
Okay?
I'm a millennial.
And so what I'm saying here is that they represent essentially the last of a dying breed. Okay. Now, within there will be individuals like you, gearheads. Okay. There's always going to be gearheads. See, the fact of the matter is that what is commonplace now in production vehicles? Electronic fuel injection, right? You see, so we did away with old internal combustion engine-based technologies long ago, but guess what? There's still a multitude of parts and bespoke carburation systems and all that type of stuff that get built and manufactured and designed by a multitude of individuals and companies. So what I'm saying is that we have to look at the secondary markets and the secondary industries as it relates to this. Now, I would posit to say that we would be looking at a very robust secondary level market as it pertains to internal combustion engines once electric vehicles take prominence. Because electric vehicles are not going to have the type of application. They won't be bought the same way that gas cars were bought. How we bought them for years and for decades. Okay, how you have a family owns 2 or 3 cars or something like that. We're looking at
kind of rough, complex.
What's that?
I said you're starting to sound a little rough, man. Can you adjust it a little bit?
Okay, let me move. I thought I was close enough to where I let me move.
Homie, complex the robot.
Shit.
Instead of Thai City, you might have to call him Taycan City.
Yo, if I pull up on that with the Taycan, with the Liberty Walk kit, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, man! I had to flag your tires, dude.
Hey, you fooling tonight, man.
Hey, when I pull up with that, with dark tinted windows, deep dish wheels on there, yeah.
Oh no! Whatever you do, Thai City, whatever you do, don't put those 80-inch crazy dunk wheels on it.
No. I don't go no bigger than 19. Just probably never set a nice 19s stance with no camber. Just you know what I'm saying.
The Taycan comes with 21s.
So well, I gotta go 22s then. It's only right.
Take it up a notch.
Nah, but you know what? I was looking at the RS6 and that it's coming with 22s. Got an option for 22-inch wheels, and the wheel arches are just that big though, and the brakes fill that whole wheel. I don't know why or what. Why on earth they want to Those brakes are huge on that RS6.
Well, look how much power it has. It's basically a front engine Lamborghini.
Yeah. See, I don't know I don't know why American guys don't like braking, but the thing is this, right? Once you actually start to go to the track with any kind of regularity, you understand if you want to go faster, you actually need better brakes because you can stay on the power deeper into the corner, hit the brake harder, you can trail brake, spin the back end around, and get right back on the power. So if you want to go faster, you actually have to have more braking power.
The brakes on that car are massive. Even the back brakes is massive.
Good.
You
You know
gotta
what?
stop all that power, man.
Yeah, but listen, I would strongly recommend, bro, get into racing, research racing, and you will understand why you need powerful brakes.
Hmm.
No, I
People,
understand, but
braking is not sexy, but braking power, you need larger brakes. You need
I
larger rotors,
had the baby brakes.
larger pads, and monoblock calipers, multi-piston monoblock calipers. The more braking power you have, the faster you can go.
Well, you have to remember that Tie City came from the era where you just kind of J turn your way around in order to stop the car. So
Yeah, I know. And he probably spray he probably
This
spray
the
he probably spray cans his brake calipers and wonders why they go black after about a week.
oh no, he just does the drum in the back.
yeah, I pay.
Hey, Tom City, they hitting you hard. They hitting you hard, man. Get the boys, man.
It's just the disrespect, man.
Hey, man, it's just no love, man. No love. Hey, what are y'all opinions on Italy, man? Like the Italian car manufacturers and their and what they're working on.
That's all.
What is
Say that
I
again.
don't know
Say that
what's
again.
going on in Italy.
No. I said we discussed a lot of the hybrid technologies and electric technologies from Germany and China, but what about Italy?
Ferrari
Oh
already committed, didn't they? I think Ferrari already committed.
Hey, Mike, can you drop the link in the chat?
yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't Lamborghini isn't the next gen Lambo supposed to be electric?
Yeah.
Okay. Any information on it so far?
Yeah, but
Whatever Audi Volkswagen comes up with, it's going to be trickled down to Lamborghini anyways.
yeah, that doesn't count. All of Lambo's R&D now is done in Germany, bro. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Okay, so look.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to take the big fail? Because everybody's not going to win. Somebody's going to take the big L.
What about that Alfa Romeo hypercar I keep hearing about? It's supposed to be like electric or something.
You have to understand that Alfa Romeo, Maserati, there's a lot of vaporware that they put out. So
Who do you think going to take? Who do you think going to fail? And
in terms of
who?
In terms of what?
In terms of just delivering a crap product and just tank the company.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. What we're seeing now is a lot of consolidation. Companies are merging with each other or building partnerships. BMW, Mercedes are already building a partnership on some EV standards and stuff like that.
Man, I see Apple and Samsung and them coming into the space.
Well, Samsung and Renault were working on a Galaxy-based car. So just like the smartphone. So that was a couple of years ago. They started working on that. You have
the car companies and the electronic companies, right?
well, they have to, right?
So, but what I'm saying is, who wins in this space? Because
Wait. Say that? Okay, I switched devices. I should be all good now.
No,
Um,
I'm saying the automotive companies and the electronic companies. Who wins in this space?
well, the thing is this: tech wins. Okay. Like okay, you have in firms like McLaren and Mike, Paul. You guys can feel free to correct me on this, but McLaren has like say its own technology division,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. Okay. You see, so like we have to look at a car manufacturer as something more than just something that makes cars.
Well, see, that's my point. Like Samsung and all the electronic companies, they're gonna have to if these car companies can have their own electronic division or their own autonomous division, they be in direct contact. I mean, direct competition with
Yes
the.
and no.
Yes and no. Okay,
Yes
go
and
ahead,
no.
Paul. Because I
It's
think I have a feeling I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
it's a lot easier for a car company to produce tech than it is for a tech company to produce
Produce a
a
car.
car,
Bingo.
because it is a much steeper learning curve and it is a much steeper production and manufacturing curve for a tech company to get into the car business space. It is a much broader curve. Apple and Samsung and Google and any other tech companies, their learning curve from a R&D and manufacturing and production standpoint is like trying to go up the wall of a skyscraper than it is for an established industrial and manufacturing company like a car company to produce new tech. And it is much easier for them to outsource or make a partnership with an established tech company to put it in their cars than it is for a tech company to move into the manufacturing and production space that car companies already inhabit, which is why
Yes.
remember Tesla has been cracking away at this for well over 15 years now.
Well, see, I look at this like Mitsubishi has an electronics division.
Yes.
I look at Bosch as being electronic. I look at Calsonic as being electronic.
Mm-hmm.
I look at even Delphi and a couple others as already being next to the automotive industry already. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they make components that are used in vehicles that automotive manufacturers use. See, we got to look at this. Okay, I know my voice got choppy there. Super
Yeah.
chisel. Blame my what do you call it? Puerto Rican Boost Mobile.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's gonna have to be some losers. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
No, not necessarily.
not
Not necessarily.
necessarily. That's the thing. It's not necessarily like so. So for example, like, to speak to what Paul was saying, right? So even if you name all those companies, right? Okay, I would say that those companies would be in a race in terms of who could have the most precise self-driving platform. Now, I would dare say companies like Google, okay, and its subsidiary Waymo. Okay, see companies like that because they understand the data requirements used to make something like a self-driving car drive. And what is that going to be primarily based off of? It's going to be based off of a data stream that the cars can connect to that can transfer information fast enough, i.e. 5G technology. You see, so everything is going to be cloud-based, 5G based. It all actually starts there. And this is the reason why in this sort of paradigm, it's the tech companies that fulfill a role in all of this. The automotive manufacturers fulfill a role. The tech companies are not trying to make cars.
No,
They're
they
trying
want to make IoT.
Yes, they want to make the cars drive by themselves. The manufacturers just say, "Hey, look, we just want to build cars. You let us know."
Mhm.
And then there's a medium in between there of various contractors, companies that are contracted to produce. Okay, all those companies that you mentioned, Delphi's, Calsonic, Bosch, okay, all of them, they play that intermediary role. This is how cars get built. And so if we're just talking about like future application, well, it's going to be much the same way. It's just that now you got to throw tech companies into the mix. But no one actually gets etched out in any of this.
No, no, because in Thai City tried to make a point about Mitsubishi Electronics. Those are not the same companies.
It's not the same.
They,
Right.
they don't even talk to each other. Mitsubishi Heavy,
No,
Mitsubishi Automotive.
Mitsubishi got ECUs and across a lot of they do make electronics for a lot of different car companies.
No, no. What I'm saying here is Mitsubishi Electronics and Mitsubishi Heavy and Mitsubishi Automotive don't talk to each other. There is no relationship.
They're all separate
you know?
entities.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
separate
okay.
entities. There's no line of communication between each other. They're just separate entities within the umbrella. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be some symbiotic relationship with these companies. They kind of just spin on their own access. So
Okay.
if Mitsubishi Automotive was to collapse, that wouldn't affect Mitsubishi Electronics or Mitsubishi Elevators or Mitsubishi Heavy.
Right. So look at Fuji Heavy Industries, right?
Mhm.
Okay, Subaru is a part of Fuji Heavy Industries.
Yes.
And then there's Fujifilm.
Mhm.
Okay, they're all different separate entities under that one conglomerate. They don't talk to each other like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
What I'm saying is, you take a company like Volkswagen,
Mhm.
and you take a company like Bosch. They've been together for years. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I wouldn't see them jumping over Bosch to get to another company.
No, Bosch
but
Bosch doesn't play the role. Bosch doesn't play the role of being able to produce the type of technology that a self-driving car needs to drive on its own.
right.
Okay,
Oh,
that would be a
Bosch
company like
supplies
Waymo.
parts-
okay,
Bosch
I get what you're
supplies
saying.
parts for Bosch supplies parts for every German auto manufacturer. Bosch supplies parts for Ford and GM for specific applications and even for the Japanese companies.
Oh
So
yeah, but I'm
not
just saying.
Bosch is not looking to build cars. They're looking to keep doing what they do, make the parts and components that
Yeah,
they
but that's what I'm saying. I don't see Volkswagen jumping over that relationship, and I just said Bosch because that's who they work closer with.
Right. But see, Bosch is not going to play the role of a Waymo.
Okay.
That's the thing, right? You see, that's what I mean. We have to look at who kind of gets etched out of the equation and who comes into the equation. And look, you're basically looking at a couple of things here. On the one hand, who gets etched out in this whole new environment? Oil companies. That's the first people who get etched out. Okay. And so because oil companies get etched out, you start to see not as many gas stations, not as many oil. You just start to see a ripple effect amongst that whole entire industry there, right? From the refining to the drilling to all of that. Okay.
There'll be some slowdown, but for all intents and purposes, heavy industry are still going to rely on oil.
Right. But but as it pertains to the consumer market and personal vehicles and stuff like that, you see a dramatic decrease.
Yep.
Okay. That's where now who comes into play? Battery manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Technology companies. Companies that can build the type of software that a self-driving vehicle runs on. And that's where I'm mentioning that company like Airbiquity, Waymo.
Well, actually, someone mentioned it in the chat. BlackBerry QNX. So BlackBerry bought QNX, which is the automotive operating system that most European car companies use. So I think they use it in the Porsche Taycan, if I remember correctly.
Okay, you see, so that's what I mean. It's like now there's new sectors opening up. So now you have new players that come into the picture, right? Like if we go back 30 years, okay, there was no need for a Waymo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no need. There was no need for cybersecurity either. But now, now you need cybersecurity inside the automotive industry because I think they just posted it this week. A guy hacked 30 cars all at once.
Yeah, I read that.
Oof. That's the new automotive environment, man. You need cybersecurity specialists. When did you ever? You know what, man? Back in the day, that was a Viper alarm or LoJack. That was about as deep as it got.
The Viper
That was
commercials, chill, man. The Viper commercial was
Yeah.
yeah. You needed a low jack. You needed a low jack. Not a low jack. A club, right?
Yeah,
Thing that
club.
goes on the steering wheel.
Right. You
Like the
just
Bud Viper.
or whatever, you know. But I mean, we've moved past all that, dude. Like, I mean, dude, if somebody walks by your damn Tesla and they see the club on it, dude, like if I ever saw some shit like that, dude, I would die laughing.
Well, so people still use them, man. I think they just use them as weapons, though, in case they get carjacked.
That's what I mean. That's what they use them for, dude. Like, at least out here in Cali, that's what they use them for.
Hey, Mike, I used to
Shit out
have
of somebody
this
with
thing
it.
called, it was called I think it was called a hammer. So it was yellow, and it locked the steering wheel to the top of the dashboard, so the steering wheel couldn't even turn at all.
There was another one, Paul, that basically it ran. You hook it under the brake pedal, and then you lock it.
Yeah.
You see that one, and then you lock that one to the steering wheel. So you know the
that
thing
goes back to the 70s.
Yeah,
that's old
You
school.
can lock the clutch pedal too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but you know what, man? Like, look, so the way that you bust those is that you just sprayed it with Freon and then you beat the hell out of it with a hammer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freon.
Yeah, you spray Freon on it. You basically cryo freezing the metal and then crack.
It shatters like glass.
So, you know, only that stuff was only but so effective, right? So, yeah. Now we're in the age where the cars need cybersecurity.
You know what? Okay, so all this stuff running on the 5G network. The 5G signal is not going to be free, right?
What do you mean free?
It's going to be like a phone bill, right?
Not necessarily. It depends if you have municipal infrastructure, other forms of infrastructure. It's not completely a profitable based system, because they do have government municipality based 5G systems. It depends on what it's hooking into.
Okay.
I mean, you got to realize, man, this stuff runs. It would basically, these would be like, when we talk about this type of stuff, you're talking about like this having to be enabled from an infrastructure standpoint. So, I mean, we're not necessarily talking about, okay, well, are you paying for your 5G connection so your car can do this? No, we're literally talking about having the 5G grid set about, right? So that anything that could connect on, say, like, you know, if you're using the commercial band of the 5G spectrum or something like that, it's like ever present, right? No matter where the car goes, it has a 5G connection, and so since it's able to transmit so much data so quickly, then you know the car's just going to do what it does.
Well, and then you worry about it. You worry about cybersecurity from a grid perspective, right? What's to say that a bad guy doesn't decide to come in and shut down the grid,
right?
With an EMP pulse, electromagnetic pulse, and shut down the grid, and now the cars can't communicate. So now you have massive bumper-to-bumper collisions. Shut down the whole entire highway. Ambulances can't get through. Fire department can't get through. All first responders shut down. So it's a big problem.
Bro, you know, the takeaway for all of this, should be that while it is comfortable and pleasing to want to bury one's head in the sand and say, oh, I'm just going to stick to big old Detroit iron. Well, you know what? The world is literally leaving you behind if you think that way.
Oh, wait, you know what? There was another question. I heard something else too, and it was kind of, my phone was kind of choppy. So I think it was Ty, maybe you mentioned something, or somebody mentioned something about pickup trucks, right? How effective like an electric version of it would be.
That was me, yeah.
Oh, okay. And you're saying that, you know what, because like using the towing capacity or something like that is going to drain the battery?
I'm guessing. I don't know, so I will absolutely default to your expertise.
Oh, I mean, I can just kind of tell you what I know based on, you know, what I've worked to develop on various things. So there's going to be like special gear reducers, right? That so it's kind of like the motor won't extend the same amount of output in, like, say, in tow mode, right? It'll leverage some sort of gear reduction, or like a gearbox type of thing, right? So it can, like, so it has like a ratio set that could utilize like the high torque band.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then there's also recapture. There's also like curves, basically, uh, where you basically recapture, potentially wasted energy. Okay, so there's the aspect of, on downgrades, the tow mode would basically activate a driving mode where anytime the vehicle detects, say, like a 2 to 3 degree grade or more, like in going downward, then it'll kick into a recovery mode, where basically the vehicle will go into kind of like coast mode, and it'll motor brake. But basically, since the motor's spinning backwards, what it's now become is a generator. And I think I just spoke to this a couple of days ago, where some dude tested like hypermiling in his Tesla on a commute through the 14 freeway through the Angeles forest that comes across from the high desert and down into LA. And so he was able to charge his battery.
I saw that video, yeah.
Yeah, like 8-10%, just basically hypermiling on his way to work.
Well, yeah. I saw that GE came out with a train a couple years ago. I think it was a prototype, electric-based train, locomotive. It's actually pretty. It had a lot of power to it for an electric train. Not sure whatever happened to the project, but I think GE got into a lot of trouble financially, and they kind of scrapped the project. But they proved that you can actually do something like that with a train.
Yeah. I mean, and so with trucks, I've even seen like these inventions where, like, okay, so the wheels on a trailer. So let's say like you get like a little, you got your electric pickup, and then you got like a trailer, right? So there's generators on the trailer wheels. And so what they do is they generate, and they either charge some onboard batteries that are situated along the rail of the trailer frame. Okay, which you could tap as an auxiliary, or you basically just use that to charge your batteries on the electric truck. So we have to look at like energy usage and containment as one single thing, even if we have an appendage onto the pickup truck, like i.e. a trailer, for example. So what purpose could the trailer be of positive use other than just carrying something? Well, it could also charge some batteries.
Well, yeah, just even underneath the trailer, you got enough space to put like some kind of, you could generate power through like little fans or something, or like turbines or something like that underneath.
Well, it'll be no different than what you saw in the last Wolverine movie, when those autonomous trailers were just moving by themselves on the road. They didn't have any actual semi tractor trailer truck dragging them.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's already a done deal. But the Volvo that we talked about before, basically looks like a Corvette. Let me see if I can pull a picture of it up, because we discussed it before on here.
What's
going on, Nicole?
What's going on, fellas? What's the good word?
Hey.
What's up, Complex?
Yo. Hey, I'll call you after this.
All right, yeah, call me after that. But my man Complex, that's brother of the year. Yeah, Complex. Nice stuff, man. Way to rock and roll, brother.
Oh man, thank you, man. Thank you.
When folks want to sit down and say, "What are y'all doing? Yo, what's the Brain Trust doing?" Dudes behind closed doors, all kind of stuff is going down.
Yeah,
all kind of butter-laid stuff is going down. So
Hey, Slick, I bought my son a go-kart.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a 50 Comer.
A Comer 50?
Yeah, they got okay. So they got like tons of kart tracks out here. So
Yeah.
I've been looking into it, and I seen this guy had started his daughter kart racing, but he had something tied to it, and he tied it around his waist while she was like learning it. Is that like standard practice?
Wait a minute. Wait, what? I would have to see what you said. She had something tied around her waist.
Okay, he had like a rope or something tied to the cart, and then he tied it around his waist so his daughter could learn. Like,
I would have to see, dude. I don't know if I would suggest tying something to you to a cart that has something that has a motor on it.
yeah, I was looking at the video. I was like, I don't think that's normal, but she looked like she was getting the hang of it.
It's probably only going like 1 mile per hour, if anything.
Well, well, I would have to. Okay, wait. You were saying like that's what he was doing with his daughter, but the cart that you. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. I'm conflating the two. You bought a cart, a Comer 50, like a little kid cart.
Yeah, it was one of those. You told me to get the Gambino. I guess it was a cart.
Yeah. Bambino. Dude, dope.
It went out. I guess a cart company went out of business, and they put a bunch of them for sale on eBay. And I snagged one. It should be here probably next week.
I thought you said Wu Gambino.
Oh no! It was childish.
Childish Gambino. Steak and cheese Gambino.
Steak and cheese.
Or was it Ray Benzino?
well, as long as y'all are not talking about Carlo Gambino.
That's the actual one.
The old man himself.
Yeah, Tamika Gambino. But this is the Volvo truck that I was referring to, Thai City. So this is already in production.
Yo, that shit crazy.
Yeah. So this is already in production. I think they've already started using them. Basically, it has LiDAR sensor.
It looks like a RC car chassis, like on steroids.
Oh yeah. You may see, I've been thinking about this. You may see funerals, the funeral processions being guided by autonomous vehicles.
I'm out of here.
Oh yeah.
No.
you dead ass. I'm out of here.
For real, man. I mean, what do you really need a driver for? I mean, you got a flower car up front, and then the hearse that can be autonomous. You don't really need anybody carrying it out. I mean,
hey, listen. If God forbid, if the hearse crashes, at least you don't have to worry about anybody else dying.
Yeah, just gotta worry about catching the body.
Right.
fellas, think
I'm out of here. Hey.
Here's a hearse driving with nobody at the wheel. I don't know, man. The optics on that look a little funny. Looks a little funny, man. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just
yo.
Well, this thing looks dope, though, dude. Look at it. I like how it's designed.
Mm-hmm.
It looks dope.
I mean, but that's. I mean, what more do you need? It has all the power at the bottom. I mean, you don't need a cab for it.
I mean, that's what I mean. It's kind of genius, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, and that looked like the design that they made with the Walmart. Have you seen the Walmart one? The trailer that they had, the carbon fiber trailer.
How fast is this thing?
Oh, there's I think it's more just about power than it is.
Yeah, this thing is geared for it's geared for torque.
Okay.
What is the name of it, Thai City?
It should pop up a Walmart semi truck right there. The
top.
Yeah, they had the biggest piece of carbon fiber, like manufactured. Like they had the. That thing is crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why it has a cab up front if it's going to be autonomous.
Well, see,
what's inside the cab?
This was a while back when they were saying that they needed somebody to monitor it. This was like
Right. I was going to say
it's
the
old.
reason why is because the thing could be self-driving, but they're gonna mandate. And I think it's that. I think we covered this, Michael. Shit, man, this is like months ago. Might have been last year.
From what I read, it was more like a worker and not a driver, like somebody to unload it when it got to where it was like a crew almost.
Yeah, well, no, well, the thing about it is that it's in the new trend. Mike, do you remember what bill this was, where they kind of wrote in legislation that basically gave the go-ahead for autonomous vehicles and all that? I'm trying to remember what piece.
For piloting, there has to be an actual human pilot.
Right. They wrote that into legislation with regards to like commercial autonomous vehicles. That doesn't mean the person's driving. They just means that a person needs to be in there.
Right. There's actually an aftermarket company that does this. I forget the name of them right now. We covered it before though. It's a small company that does semi-tractor trailer autonomous vehicle. They're a startup.
Now look, this is man, Mike, you just said the word startup. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the new automotive sector looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. That's an off-the-shelf Momo steering wheel.
Oh yeah. I mean, you don't need a whole big steering wheel anymore. I mean,
what do you need? Yeah, you might as well.
Kind of parks itself. Parks and drives itself. So.
Yeah, man, might as well make it look plush and nice, man.
I don't think anybody's going to be in there doing any turns or anything like that. I mean, I think it's just a matter of grabbing the wheel in case failure, right?
Yep.
Playing Madden.
You know what I would do, and this is just me being my crass self, but what I would do is I would actually play like driving games.
Oh, simulator?
Yeah, so the fucking truck is driving itself, but I'm sitting right there, like all like this.
Look at that couch.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is where it is, man.
Wow.
We got to start looking into this a little bit more deeper, because I think in Africa they were using Volvo autonomous trucks, earth movers. That's what they was. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Hey, but Ty, what I was saying is like the wheels on the back of the trailer, right? They have in-hub motors, dude, that actually spin backwards and generate.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it'll just like a regenerative type.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. That's how you make use of all of this type of stuff.
Here it is right here, Ty City. So these are the earth movers that I was referring to.
Caterpillar is not going to like that.
They look like Ryobi hand tools, but just with wheels on them.
Oh, man, Ryobi. Don't do us like that.
No, because of the color.
Yeah.
Caterpillar is not going to like that, bro. Caterpillar owns 68% of the global market. So you're talking.
But Caterpillar didn't think to put a fucking electric motor in their shit.
Oh, they already have a autonomous car division within their ranks. Them and John Deere. I saw an interview talking about that. I always thought that they were behind the times too, but they're not. It seems like they have something. It seems like they have something.
I think I was watching one of the older episodes where y'all was talking about the I don't know what kind of farm equipment it was, but it was like going down the grid in the field by itself.
Oh yeah, those are the drones. Yeah, those drones. But look at this one from Komatsu. I mean, this is a true earth mover. This is like the biggest you're gonna get.
Yeah.
How much power it take to get that motherfucker around?
20,000 horses.
20,000 horsepower.
Yeah. From the last time I checked, it was about 20,000 horses.
But see, that's easy to produce with electric motors.
Yeah, but motor is capable, but the power going into it is
Yeah, I mean, well, you just got to have a large enough power source.
Mike, are you sure about that 20,000 horsepower? Because the last time I checked, Caterpillar makes the largest in the world, and it's like a 3,000 horsepower
Diesel.
diesel engine.
On a diesel engine, it might be different for an electric motor then, but that's my understanding of it. From
Oh,
what I heard.
okay. I got you.
That's,
I got you.
that's my
I
understanding
understand.
of it. I think it's like maybe equivalency to it.
Got you.
20,
Whatever the rate, like if like an electric motor just has a more efficient output when in terms of energy to output, energy to work output ratio.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot a gas, diesel, whatever kind of motor cannot effectively put out the amount of work, usable work, that an electric motor can.
Well, see, that's my point about Tesla bringing a truck onto the market. Like Ford and everybody else they would have to respond. They would have to do something like immediately.
You're also forgetting that these are big dinosaur companies. They don't make changes on a dime that easily.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, Ford has something in its back pocket. I mean, why do you think they killed off a majority of their sedans and compact cars for
Man,
2020?
listen,
Wait,
listen.
and formed Ford Autonomous Vehicles Unit. They formed a whole entire new spin-off company dealing with nothing but this shit, dude. I haven't seen that from GM. I have not seen that from Chrysler. I've only seen that from Ford.
Uh-oh. I think Paul was saying that they might not have nothing.
Hmm?
I
No,
think Paul was
okay.
saying
In contrast to say like Tesla, Porsche,
No, but
Audi,
no,
everybody
Ty
else,
City,
yeah, they don't.
you have to understand what Complex just said. You got Ford itself, brick and mortar is not necessarily developing products, but they are acquiring companies that those companies have
Yes.
products. So that still is in line with what I said. Ford is not has not developed anything, where they are buying companies, and those companies are in turn developing products. But
okay.
that's one company. What about Chrysler and GM?
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, what has Ford done groundbreaking in the last 20 years?
Oh man, the latest
The
Fusion.
EcoTech motor.
Yeah, the latest Fusion autonomous vehicle. That's groundbreaking.
Yeah.
That's a groundbreaking. They're testing it in Florida right now.
I was gonna say they've been in a lot like Waymo, like all of these they've been using that car to test this stuff largely
because Ford has stake in all of those companies too.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like, and this happened abruptly. What was this? Early 2018, I think it was last year, where Ford CEO just basically, didn't they change? They went with a new guy, and then this guy just basically pulled the trigger on and said, look, you know what? We're getting rid of all the dead weight and we're creating an autonomous vehicles unit. Holler at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Mark Fields was canned.
Yeah. That's what I mean. New guy came in and was like, fuck it, dude, we're going autonomous. Now what?
And it's funny, in the last 15 years, how many CEOs has Ford gone through? From Bill Ford to Mark Fields to Alan Mulally to the Australian guy whose name escapes me at the moment. It's like every 2 to 3 years, a new guy runs Ford. A new guy runs Ford. I don't know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I would say that this is pretty groundbreaking for Ford. As a matter of fact, a lot of the autonomous vehicles in China that are being tested are actually Fords.
I would respect them for hanging their hat on the autonomous stuff, because from what they brought to the market, Ecotech was just leftover, pretty much Mazda technology, and that's about it. I have not been impressed with Ford. The aluminum trucks, not impressed. It's just I haven't. The Lincoln line, not impressed.
Bro, listen, hey, and you know how much I love German vehicles. but that Lincoln Navigator is the hottest SUV on the market. Nothing is touching that thing.
I still haven't seen it yet.
A range, not a G-Wagon. Bro, go look at it. That Lincoln Navigator is the hottest thing on the market, bro. Nothing is touching that. Nothing.
Yeah, it's leaps and bounds above the Escalade. The Escalade is just washed over, same soup, just warmed over. It's not really, there's nothing groundbreaking about it. It's, in fact, the Straight Pipes on YouTube, the review channel just reviewed it a couple weeks ago, and they said this thing's trash compared to the Lincoln. So, which is surprising because they charge a lot of money for that Escalade, and for what you're paying for, it's not, the return on investment is not there.
Well, I'm not an SUV guy. I can't really argue that point because I don't think I've ever been in a Navigator before. My brother used to have, he had an Excursion. I've been in an Excursion, and I've been.
Bro, the Excursion will never die. People are saving those things, man. Here in Texas, they going up and up and up and up and up.
You'll never see a truck produced that, you'll never see a truck like that produced ever again.
Yeah. I had a F-250.
Hmm.
The 6-liter international motor.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, a guy from Texas had a Ford pickup truck. You know what? Somehow I didn't see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let me tell you, I could pull a house with that. That truck was mean.
You had it lifted too?
Nah. I didn't do all that shit.
You do realize you'll be able to pull a house. You'll probably be able to pull like 2 or 3 houses with an electric truck.
Yeah.
Nah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think if Tesla bring a truck to the market, it's going. Yeah.
Well, you got Rimac. Rimac's already there. I can't remember the name of that truck. What the model name is called? Rivian 1 or something like that.
The Rivian.
Rivian, yeah. Oh yeah, Rivian. I'm sorry. Rimac is a different company.
Right.
Rivian has their electric truck. Okay.
But
you can look up Rimac because Porsche just bought a stake in them too. They're like a I don't know if they're like Estonian or where they're from. They're a small electric vehicle manufacturer, and they had the what's it called? The Rimac 1. I think they just.
Rimac is a different company from Rivian. They're two separate companies.
I know. I'm talking about the Rimac company. They build like an electric sports car. Rivian. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Porsche bought a stake in them. You know that, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
No, that I did not know. That's nice.
Yeah.
But
Rivian is the one that makes the electric truck.
I just want to say to Ty City, understand something. The German car companies, they're a bit late to the party, but once they make a full court press on electric vehicles, bro, it's over. It's over.
Look, I'm telling you right now, man. It was was it BMW? I think it was BMW. It was either BMW. It had to be BMW. I can look it up later, but it was one of the German car manufacturers struck a $2 billion deal with a Chinese battery manufacturer. Those types of deals have to be struck with companies like Porsche, BMW, and all. Once they know that they have a clear line supply of cells to create all these electrified vehicles, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
and the whole thing is that since this is a whole new entire market, how do you know the cells in my car are better than the cells in that guy's car?
Mm-hmm.
How do we know? You know what I mean? There's so much that automotive manufacturers have to vet in with regards to like laying it all out there and just saying, fuck it, we're going electric. Okay. What if I put a Porsche Taycan out there and 15,000 miles in, the cells start going to shit? Do you realize, dude, like how much Porsche's like how much their reputation
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying, Complex. Like somebody gonna take an L, man.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now,
Fisker took the first L.
I was just about to say Fisker took the first L, but the thing about it is that it's like, yeah, you could build an electric car, using a mishmash of parts and real sleek design, you could, but there's so much more from a support aspect of it that you need. Now from what I heard about Fisker, because what ended up happening was that the battery supplier ended up buying them. That's what I heard. I heard that the Chinese company that was supplying the dude who started the whole operation basically bought it because he ran up such a debt trying to like bring this car to the market. And so they were sitting there looking at it like, yo, like we could have a whole entire car company complete with the design and every damn thing. We just buy it. I mean, that's just how the Chinese are positioned.
You know what? Look at the German auto manufacturers: Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, and Opel. In the last 50 years, name me how many vehicles that any of them brought out and it was a complete and utter flop and failure. The Japanese and the Americans have plenty of them. I can't think of any German vehicles that fall into that category, unless I'm missing something. They do their homework, they do their R&D, they do their due diligence. They do not make vehicles that come out and flop. Even the Mercedes R, which was a vehicle that nobody understood and nobody asked for, people bought it.
Oh, you mean the van, the 4-door van?
Correct. Yeah, a German minivan. I'm like, what the hell is this? A Mercedes minivan?
Well, like the Sprinters?
No. This is like the Chrysler Pacifica.
Right, the Mercedes R. It was a Mercedes minivan. It was called the R300, and then they even had the AMG version. It was a Mercedes minivan. Nobody understood it or why they built it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So my point here is to speak to Ty City's point. I don't see German car manufacturers making a vehicle that is going to flop. They don't have a history of doing so.
You know what? I'm not. If anybody was going to flop, I see somebody like Dodge biting the bullet, or somebody doing it out of desperation is going to bite the bullet.
Well, it's funny you say that because I don't know if people are aware. Dodge almost went out of business twice.
Yeah.
Technically 3 times. Lee Iacocca saved the company back in 79, 80. Then they were sold to after Mercedes bought them and then took Dodge Chrysler's R&D and then they sold them off. They were bought by that company. I want to say Proton or Pro Drive, whatever. They almost went out of business.
When did they get involved with Daimler Benz?
Wait, what?
Did they get involved with Daimler Benz?
They did.
They were bought by Daimler Benz in 1996.
Okay.
Then after Daimler Benz sold them, another company, I want to say it's called Proton or Pro Drive or Pro Line or something. They actually started selling factories and selling parts factories until another conglomerate bought them, and then they eventually returned to viability, and now they're presently owned by Fiat. And the rumors are, as Mike said, Fiat is seriously thinking to or planning to possibly sell them off to a Chinese company.
I think that was the plan the whole entire time. Was to transfer an American company to the Chinese. The only problem is that the Federal Trade Commission would never tolerate something like that directly, right? So it had to go into somebody else's hands first.
They are not letting the Chinese have any kind of in to the automotive industry here, man. It is just
Well, that's the name of the game, right? And that's
Yep.
probably the secret that GM has been keeping. Like I said earlier in the hangout in the live stream, that's probably the secret that's been going on about GM opening factories in China, but the factories probably weren't entirely GM. It was probably some Chinese manufacturer that was going to build electric vehicles and import them into the United States
right.
under
Exactly.
the GM brand. And the UAW will be up in flames about something like that.
Dude, there will be
Because,
open revolt if that shit happens.
it could get very violent. It could, you could see sabotage. You could see all types of, exposing of, defects and stuff like that. They'll do whatever they can.
All kind of cover-ups.
It's almost like the Wild Wild West.
Well, it could be war. It could be war. Because you're playing with other people's pockets. The UAW has a large stake in American manufacturing, stuff like that, automotive manufacturing at least.
Not only that, man, but you got to understand how other brands who import here are then going to turn around and look at this.
Well, that's why the tariffs are so important, right? The trade war is so important.
Exactly.
I mean, go ahead, Paul.
No, sorry, go.
No, I was just making the point that BMW and other European brands are opening up manufacturing facilities inside China as well. But that's only because they have a billion person market down there, and everybody wants a piece of getting into China. But this tangerine tyrant in the White House, he seems to have a problem with that. Well, not so much of him, but the Americans see the writing on the wall that's an emerging economy that is going to explode in the next 2 years. And they don't have an answer to that because they have a declining economy with weak infrastructure.
But you know what? I'm just kind of off on the deep end, but I've been looking into like China's economy. It is nuts over there.
They produce more millionaires than the Americans ever have.
Yeah, but they kidnapping them and taking over their companies.
Well, because it's state run, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they Jack Ma signed off on Alibaba. He had to sell all his shares, and nobody knows where he at.
Well, he was just on stage debating with Elon Musk just the other day.
This happened recently.
Yeah, this was recent. He was just on stage.
I don't know, man.
I think that was Monday for the World Economic Forum. I think he was debating Elon Musk on vertical markets.
Anyways, they saying that China is printing more money than we are, and they're not even they pretty much wash trading their own money to and it's craziness.
Well, they're doing exactly what they need to do to surpass Western powers, right? I mean, they're the new kid on the block, and they have a whole lot to prove. And
I mean,
the way they're running business is exactly how business is supposed to be run. And unfortunately, in the United States, you see a lot of decaying infrastructure, massive poverty, and all for what?
Right, because China is a communist country. So under communism, the state owns everything, even if it's your business and you built it. The state owns it. So everything is a state-run business. Now we can absolutely get into the rights and the wrongs and the moral issues and the social issues, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That's their country. That's their government. That's their society.
No. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like, just think about all the technology and infrastructure that they have, and the people that are there are starting to look at it as enslavement.
It is basically it is, but understand something. That's communism. That's what it is, and that's not going anywhere.
No, trust me, I know they've been running that for thousands of years.
No, only since Chairman Mao.
Mao Zedong. Yeah.
Only since only since Chairman Mao Zedong has China been a communist nation. Point is, though, that's what it is. That's what China is. So, if if there's anyone who has the idea that the people are going to revolt because they don't like it, you know what? Time will tell. But for right now, that's not happening.
No, America did it the wrong way. For all intents and purposes, they did it the wrong way. They purposely and artificially, um, castrated people. Not so much castrated people, but they undermine certain demographics for their own selfish reasons, and that.
Yeah, but they got tricked out of their own manufacturing base.
Well, they didn't get tricked out. They that was a necessary evil at the time, to counter the Soviet Union, and to an extent it worked. But the long term effects is what we have right now. You have a declining economy, and you have an emerging economy coming out of China, while yours is on the decline. And the idea here is to take a sledgehammer to try to put a tack into the wall by dealing with the Chinese, and that's not going to turn out too well.
Right, and you got to understand something. No one's tricked. No one's tricked. No one was lied to. No one was sold dreams. Everyone knows the program. Everyone knows how things work. Everyone. So when you see a guy like Jack Ma, or you see others like that, you know what? At the end of the day, if you generate $1 billion business, you want to own it. That's human nature. But so basically, they're appealing to American sensibility because America is a free market economy and society. But coming from that communist society, everyone knows what it is. They knew what it is. They just want to have their money. But listen, it is what it is. They know what it is going in, and it's not going to change anytime soon.
I just think it's a wild society they got, man.
That's communism, though.
No, I understand the nature of communism. But the thing is, communism is bumping heads with capitalism, and communism is way more ruthless than capitalism.
Oh, I would beg to differ. Yeah, I would beg to differ on that.
Yes and no, because capitalism and communism is not an apples to apples argument. Communism is a system of governance. Capitalism is a system of economics and finance. Because as crazy as it sounds, China, which is a communist government, they use capitalism. Understand that. So just because you have people who are on the television and put up this argument of capitalism versus communism, that's not entirely accurate. So that's not true. It's not accurate.
Yeah, and we discussed this on the Gold Dollars and Power, but for the most part, China sees themselves as a market-based economy, and the United States sees themselves or the West sees themselves as a capitalist-based society or economy. And what's the difference here is that in China, the market will never rise above the governing principles of its main society. In the United States, your private entities in the capitalist market rises above your governing bodies, and that's why you have Lockheed and the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower tried to warn you about in the 50s, that that they would actually take over, and that's what's happening right now. That your civil engineering budget has been gutted, for the sake of the military. That wouldn't happen in other countries, and you wouldn't get a bailout. You wouldn't get a bailout for crooks who steal from the people and live it up in high-rise apartments. That wouldn't happen in China or Russia.
Right. Also, in America, there is a financial policy called laissez-faire economics, which basically means hands off, as little to no government intervention or regulation on businesses. So that is something that you definitely don't see under a communist government. So that is another fundamental difference between the between the capitalism that's practiced in America and the capitalism that is practiced in China.
No. I'm gonna say this: the big difference of capitalism that's practiced in China and the difference between capitalism that's practiced in the United States is the fact that you do not have a class of wealthy people in China that are privileged where they control the government. The Politburo controls them,
Right.
controls the peeps. That's the
Right.
deal. The Politburo runs the game, and the billionaires do not control that system.
Right,
Here in the United States, capitalism controls the government, controls exactly kind of the policies that are made. Billionaires cannot control policy in China. Billionaires control policy here in the United States. That's the difference between capitalism here in the United States and, if you want to say, communism or capitalism practice in China, of which they're practicing a better form of than we are here today.
Yeah, because
I just want to make that
Couldn't
clear.
agree more.
they were saying that Jack Ma signed over so much of Alibaba to like unnamed people.
Well, that's a communist-based society. I mean, that's how they run it.
Yo, they getting down over there, bro.
Well, you don't think you do the same thing here?
Nah, I know they getting down over here too, but I'm just saying, like, if Steve Jobs had signed over Apple to some mysterious people, bro, you know what I'm saying?
It's a difference. The difference here is that you're signing over your tax dollars to those to Google and the rest of the companies.
Right.
That's how they get their investments.
Yeah. I look at China, but they get all this technology and stuff, and then they have where correct me if I'm wrong. They can copy your whole design, long as you don't copy other Chinese companies, right?
It's whatever they sign over. It's whatever your company signs over. So there's clone copies of BMWs and Volkswagens and Mercedes and running around China. That's not the actual thing. They did the same thing to the Russians. You know, they took MiG fighter jets and Sukhois and stuff like that and copied them. But they didn't copy them correctly, and they started falling out of the sky. They asked the Russians for help, and the Russians told them to go take a hike. Copy it. It's not our problem. Yeah, they do the same thing to the these odd-looking BMWs and Mercedes and Audis with 5 rings instead of 4 rings and stuff like that, just looking real crazy.
The Chinese grab a lot of foreign technology and stuff, and they clone it basically. Those guys, they steal everything. They try to they steal everything. They steal everything, man. That's what the Chinese do. They're good at, they may not be good at reproducing a lot of the stuff at the levels that maybe the original manufacturers have done, but they do steal everything. That's what they do. It's a big part of their I don't know if I can use any other word. Big part of their kind of business model. I don't know what else to say, but that's
how else would you leverage yourself out of poverty and dire straits? I mean, you have to transfer some form of technology.
You know what? I don't even knock the hustle.
No. I'm just saying this is what they do.
They do the same thing. They do the same thing in Africa too, which is one of the things I found out this year. That if you have a successful business model, other people will copy it on the continent. So
which makes sense. Sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, and same thing. I think we've talked about this before. I think the United States, before they became a federated body, man, a lot of technology during slavery was stolen from the actual inventors in the field, man. Nikolai Tesla or any of the actual melanated slaves, man, they got their intellectual property jacked too. So
facts.
Oh man, I don't knock the hustle, man. I feel like for China to do what they did, you know what I'm saying? It's like a necessary evil. Like fuck it, like this the plan. We're gonna rip these motherfuckers off, and we're just gonna come up. If you ain't with it, you got to get out.
Well, we could say the same thing about the Europeans and what they did to the enslaved Africans. Man, they stole a lot of technology from them, but never would they admit that they did that.
No,
We
I was
wouldn't
doing
have
some.
phone line communications and railroads and things like that without African inventions, man. So
Yeah, I was doing some research on George Washington Carver a while back, and that dude, what we learned in school was just scratching the surface of his actual research.
oh man, there's so many things that black men invented back in the day, man, that they didn't get credit for, but they get credit on this channel though. We give them all the credit.
We'll look at somebody like Lewis Latimer, right? Somebody who basically, basically created a light bulb. I mean, basically, at the end of the day,
Phone too.
Edison grabbed him, and made him president of the company and everything else like that. But at the end of the day, this guy designed so many critical inventions that were taken over by others. And when I sit down, I look at people saying black people are dumb and black people are this, and when we look at our literal, how would I say, our impact in the industrial the markets and our industrial technological innovations that
Well,
we've
yeah.
come up.
See, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know much, you say George Washington Carver, peanut, but he actually had a lot of research with rubber compounds.
Oh yeah, we covered all that on this channel. We've done a whole entire live stream on Black History Month, honoring all those black men who contributed to Western society.
And it's massive. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Or
on these other channels they don't talk about it, but
no. They talk about other things, but they don't talk about it.
Yeah, Billy Goats and stuff like that. But Super Triz is here, man. I want to give him the last 5 minutes and see what his analysis is on the Porsche Taycan and the Tesla before we close out.
I think the Porsche obviously has a brand cachet amongst all demographics. That the Tesla, there's people that really there's people that really don't buy into the brand cachet of Tesla. Unlike Porsche is pretty world renowned and universally respected. So even though the Taycan, I'm disappointed actually with the performance in that I think that as a Porsche, the performance from its electric vehicle should be head and shoulders above the competition. That's my only gripe. But again, the performance that it does have is probably beyond the grasp of most drivers anyway. So it's not like we're splitting hairs at that point. The exterior aesthetics of it, I'm not too impressed. I'll be honest. Like visually, it's just not as appealing as I would like it to be. But it's still a decent looking vehicle. And the actual silhouette is distinctly different from Tesla. So they're both, I believe, 4 doors. But the Porsche, the Taycan, it looks more like a kind of a blockier Panamera. And the actual dimensions of the or the actual contours of the Tesla, they just look totally different. So it's really 2 totally different looking vehicles. And it'd be interesting to see how buyers react. The Porsche Taycan is I think it's about 150, I believe. So it is going to be a price premium over the full size Tesla. So it's still kind of up in arms. Where's their technology derived from? The Porsche Taycan, is it in-house developed, or did they get the technology, the battery technology and stuff from somebody else?
For the most part, it's in-house developed. Porsche, Volkswagen, Audi, they all share a lot of the same research and development in terms of their vehicle to vehicle development projects. But because you have the Audi e-tron too. Keep that in mind. And then you have Volkswagen that's coming out with their own, and they also have Ducati coming out with an electric vehicle as well. So there's a whole lot of things on the table that's involved in that. But this article right here that's posted this today says that Porsche is in talks to buy electric car batteries from China. So obviously they're not building their own batteries, but they're sourcing it from a Porsche unveils $90,000 electric car. So not the 150 that you may have said earlier, but this is toe to toe with the Tesla.
And the Porsche is using an 800-volt system.
Yep.
What I think the Tesla is using a different voltage. Less
400.
Less.
Yeah, I think the P100D is something like 400 or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like, we're looking at, but again, the actual the power output, I believe, is more at 750 horsepower versus the P90, but the actual application hasn't resulted in more performance, at least from straight line perspective. Maybe other dynamics that that as they relate to performance may be enhanced with the Porsche actual driving experience and whatnot. What's the curb weight? Did they have a curb weight for that vehicle? See that
5,000 pounds for the Porsche and 4,800 for the Tesla.
Yeah, so we're talking a lot of that weight is derived from the batteries, obviously, but it also depends where the weight is distributed, because with an electric vehicle you can put the weight have a very, very low center of gravity, as opposed to like a conventional gasoline powered vehicle. You have fluids in the car that affects the dynamics, because you have gasoline that can slosh around and then affect the driving characteristics. And so it may actually drive very well for its weight.
It did the ring in 7 minutes and 42 seconds, from my understanding today. But the Tesla could not even finish.
That is fast.
Yeah, the Tesla couldn't finish. I'm not sure what the fastest ring lap is. I heard it was 7 minutes and 19 seconds.
Which is fast.
Well, not only is it fast, that's an impressive feat, because a lot of times with electric vehicles, they can't consistently max accelerate.
Yeah.
And so for a Porsche to get an electric vehicle to get a ring time of that and finish, that means they have a level of consistency. So even though you may look at this, straight line performance and say, oh well, the Tesla is able to compete in that regard, or even perhaps even outcompete, but since they can't apply that power consistently, you may have to give the nod to the Porsche. But again, when I look at the actual and maybe Paul Bryant wants to chime in on this, just aesthetically, it's like a letdown for me. What do you think? What do you think, Paul?
Personally, I like it. I like the car a lot. To me, it looks like an evolution and a perfect blending of the 911 and the Panamera. I think it stands out on its own. You can see the influence of the Panamera. You can see the influence of the 911. I like the front end. The front end is bold. It's uncharacteristically bold for a German vehicle. German vehicles tend to be very subdued and understated. So that is definitely a bold step for a German vehicle. And 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. I don't know how you're unimpressed with 2.3 seconds and 0 to 60.
Well, the last estimate I heard, which was earlier today, I guess different publications have different numbers, but I heard 2.6, which in comparison to.
Dude, that's splitting hairs. Dude, you will never
I said it was splitting
know
hairs.
the difference between 2.3 and 2.6.
Listen, I said it was splitting hairs, but here's the thing. The thing is that Porsche is known for being a sports car, but again, None of that matters now when we come out with the ring time. So I will give the nod to the Porsche because obviously the Porsche is able to deliver its power consistently where the Tesla cannot. So that all that's out the window. But when you look at the lights, though, look at the headlights on the Taycan.
Yeah, they said they looked like it was crying.
Not only does it look like it's crying, it looked like it took a step back. Remember when the 911 they had like they changed the lights weren't quite round. What year was that?
The cracked egg headlights.
996.
Yes.
I like the cracked egg headlights.
Oh, I hate those, man. I hate them.
I like them.
Hey man, listen, you know what? There is no accounting for taste. People like what they like, so if you don't like it, fair enough. You know,
Wait a second.
some will, some won't.
Wait a second. Paul, how
Yes,
do you
sir.
feel about them having turbo model electric vehicles?
Well, you know, listen,
We
Come on,
discussed that
Paul.
earlier.
I brought that up to Mike, and Mike said from his opinion, it's probably a marketing thing to just use to
Man,
use the
Porsche
terms
better than
turbo
that.
and turbo
No,
S.
Porsche better than that. Come on.
no, Ty, you're missing the point. The turbo refers to the boosted models. So overboost is what they're using to justify the term turbo.
The word turbo implies a turbocharger. They
Not
could have used something
necessarily.
else.
Not
They
necessarily.
could have
No,
used.
not
They could have used
necessarily.
something.
Not
They could have
necessarily,
used
because
something else.
remember, there's been times in automotive history where they've used electric applications for acceleration. So it doesn't necessarily a turbo doesn't necessarily mean a snail.
Okay, turbo turbine.
Well, listen,
Porsche is better than that. Come on, Paul. Porsche better than that.
bro, if that is the best thing that you can do, take a
Oh,
nip. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
oh,
Well, they
Personally,
use this.
I don't have an issue with it.
oh.
Yeah,
I just
supercharger,
personally don't have an issue.
supercharger in German, I believe it starts with a T or something like that.
No, actually, the
It's
term
compressor.
is compressor with a K.
Yeah, but the 3 liter T in the Audi S4 is referred to as a supercharger, right?
Well, okay, here's the thing. Any type of
It-
turbocharging is supercharging. So supercharging is a general term that refers to a compression of air.
And we ain't talking about a compression of nothing on this car.
I understand that,
Well,
but
I'm staying out of that. Listen, you know what? I got my opinions on it, and I gotta agree. Is this Triple X or is this Thai City? Who is this?
No,
Thai City.
that's Thai City.
That's Thai
Triple X
City.
went to, yeah, we put that brother to bed, man.
Yeah. Listen, I gotta agree with Thai City. I think it's kind of is a little because think about this, right? So even now you have Porsche's base models that are turbocharged engines, and they still have a turbo designation that differentiates an entry level model from an upper echelon model, even though both engines are turbocharged. So it's like it's almost the same principle. Remember when Mercedes started, the numbers didn't reflect the displacement of the vehicles. Remember when that started? Like when you had the S500 and it'd be like a 4-liter turbocharged or whatever, and it's like it just I don't know. It kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Well, you have boosted and you have non-boosted Taycan. So in order to differentiate the two, you had to give it some kind of moniker.
But they could have put plus.
Well, there's other
They could
things
have
that
put
you can
something
use. You
else
can use
on it.
S. You can use
Yeah,
S.
but that's traditional to Porsche, though, right? Porsche, right? I mean, if
Taycan,
you're gonna have
Taycan S.
excuse me,
I say you can have a Taycan and a Taycan S.
they already have
there
that.
is.
They already have that.
Okay, then Taycan GTS.
The turbo S. They got the turbo and the turbo S.
Okay,
You know
they
what?
can have Taycan S, Taycan GTS, and there's so many other Taycan R. If you want to get like
And I mean, I think in terms of Porsche, I think they may be a step behind in terms of like the autopilot and autonomous driving that the Tesla has. So the autopilot operating system is actually pretty much mature than what everybody else has. And even considering that their system is actually pretty faulty, because this week somebody had crashed into something with the autonomous with the autopilot engaged, and it I think it almost caused
Hey, Mike, not while we talking about crashes. Your boy crashed on a straight road. He wasn't even on going around a curve.
Oh, you mean you're talking about what's short man?
Kevin Hart.
Yo, I seen the crash. It was a straight road.
A straight road?
Yes, it wasn't a turn.
Maybe you hit a patch of dust.
Oh, well, check this out. Now, Choke No Joke, he has like a channel, and he talks about like people in the industry and whatnot. Now, he was saying that he was asking a question. He was like, was Kevin Hart on the powder, like behind the wheel and on the powder?
Yeah, he probably didn't feel it, but he got 3 fractures in his spine.
Yeah, so that might have been the reason why he was probably going in a straight line and still managed to crash it if he was on that powder.
He was in a dive, fam.
I think he tried to heel toe, man, and that didn't work out too well for him. Too short for the.
Oh, he was trying to heel toe shift.
Yeah. I think that's what happened, man.
Hey, that car did have the Hellcat motor in it. They ripped the hood off. You can see that, but like I said. So now you can't go around the curve and you can't go straight. All right.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, man. A lot of celebrities can't drive stick, man. So it is what it is, man. He probably got behind there, and you should have called T-Pain for help.
I'm done, man. They was making all kinds of jokes about him sitting over the steering wheel. It's just.
If you look at the pictures of him being in the car, he doesn't look like he can see over the steering wheel. He should have had like a Gerber seat or something like that, man. For real. You should have got him that go kart off of eBay, man, and gave it to him, man, and sent it to him.
Nah, I got it. That's for my son. I don't want him tearing that up. He don't got a good record.
Hey, man, I gotta see pictures of that kart, dude.
Yeah, man, it's a Comer 50. They got a class. That's the class.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually look. I'm gonna be at the race. I'm gonna be a mechanic. I'm wrenching for a buddy of mine this weekend, and so they run a Bambino class, dude.
Yeah, I think the age is 7.
No, these kids are like 5. It's like 5 to 7. You can run Bambino.
Okay, yeah. The place I bought it from, I guess it was a karting complex or something. They looked like they had all low miles.
Dallas? Was it Dallas Karting Complex?
No, this came from up north somewhere.
Okay.
I had to look at it, but they got that class here. I didn't know there was so much karting stuff around this area.
Oh yeah. There's a dude with a channel. I don't really particularly care for the guy really, but he shows videos of him out at Dallas Karting Complex doing stuff. He's like the Sodi kart dude out there. But yeah, I mean, dude, Bambino, that's the perfect chassis to start training them up in.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna see. You got my email?
You know what? Let me see here. Hold on. Throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna shut it down.
Beating up Honda's Thai City?
Huh?
Forget it.
No. One of the cars I was looking at had a Honda motor, but I guess the class that they have available here, you got to have that Comer, some kind of Comer motor.
Yeah, it's a Comer 50. Honda makes the same. They make a 50cc motor, 2-stroke motor. Mm-hmm. So a lot of clubs they'll allow you to run both. Some of them they only stipulate one. So, I mean, just look around. at bare minimum, you can just go to the track and start training them. If a club says, "Well, you got to run combers," dude, just go buy just buy a used comber. Just go look on like offer.
No, it's already got a comber on it. It's got a comber on it.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, well, if you're running a comber, then pretty much all the kart clubs are gonna let you run it. If you're running a Honda, I don't know. Some clubs I know they only run combers. So either way, you got a comber on it. So yeah, just start training them up, man.
Yeah, man. It should be here in a little bit, probably sometime next week after the weekend.
Dope, man. Dope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, man. Hit that like button if you've not already done so, and share the video if possible. Hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust. And we are out.